Erno is reaching out to cities like Los Angeles for help.
To ensure that we give opportunities to our veterans, that we repay them for their sacrifice.
Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
LA's Workforce Investment Board offers help to veterans in their job search. For more information, go to wiblacity.org. A day with no tobacco. It's a dream, but also a goal that one day our society would be free of tobacco addiction. Los Angeles city leaders joined in this international effort, whose mission is to ensure the next generation doesn't get hooked. World No Tobacco Day, a day where the entire world renews its commitment to ensuring they continue to prevent tobacco consumption around the world.
1 in every 4 Latino middle school students and 3 million Latino high school students in the U.S. smoke cigarettes.
Councilman Richard Alarcon recently put together a program to educate retailers on the legal consequences of selling tobacco products to minors. And as a city, Los Angeles has already banned smoking in its parks, beaches, and outdoor dining facilities. Just a few decades ago, when smoking was allowed on airplanes, these signs of progress would have been hard to imagine.
A generation ago, close to 50% of adults smoked. When I went to medical school too many years ago, many of my classmates in medical school smoked.
And at the City of LA's observance of World No Tobacco Day, the documentary Addiction Incorporated was screened for an audience.
138,000 people will have heart attacks and brain strokes every year caused by nicotine. I said, you guys make a product that you know kills people?
The film centers on whistleblower Victor DeNoble's experience as a young drug researcher hired by a tobacco company and his fight to regulate tobacco after discovering tobacco's addictive ingredients. DeNoble was honored by city leaders at the World No Tobacco Day event. The fight against tobacco, which he helped start, continues today as cigarettes' perceived cool factor continues to win over converts, young and old.
I want to give a shout out to Disney Corporation, the only corporation in movie making that says no cigarettes. I don't watch Mad Men, but Mad Men, they smoke. They still smoke on Mad Men? They don't need to smoke on Mad Men. That's mad to smoke.
Ending tobacco use, an uphill battle perhaps, but one that's enlisting new soldiers each and every day. Today, tobacco use remains the single leading preventable cause of premature death in LA County. Well, it's another step in helping to make Los Angeles a more sustainable city when it comes to our water usage. As Anna Marcos tells us, the $3.5 million stormwater recapture project in Panorama City will help replenish our environment.
What will redesigned medians, drought-resistant landscaping, and 99 new trees do for this area of Panorama City? For one thing, it will capture 1.5 million gallons of stormwater every time it rains. The Woodman Avenue Stormwater Recapture Project will also cut down on flooding in the area.
We have established a vision in LA to transform the city, to take a problem, flooding, pollution, and make it into a community asset. So in this project, we're addressing flooding, we're addressing the greening of this community and making this community beautiful. We're recharging the groundwater.
This project will not only be environmentally green, beautiful, and functional, it will have impacts that stretch far into the future. LA now relies on other states for most of its water, but this will replenish the groundwater and make LA more self-reliant.
In just the next 3 decades, the entire world is going to have to figure out where we're going to get 40% of the water that we need. Because right now, we don't have it. And right now, without projects like this, we won't have it. But with projects like this, we are on our way.
So-called green projects like this are popping up all over LA, including the groundbreaking Elmer Avenue project in Sun Valley 2 years ago. All the rainwater that falls on that street is captured through bioswales, permeable sidewalks, and special stormwater drains. The water recharges our underground water table.
We were celebrating the completion of the Elmer Street project, a great project, a project that caught the attention of the entire nation. I mean, people from all over the country were coming to see this project to learn from us.
And soon, city leaders will also be celebrating the Woodman Stormwater Recapture Project. The $3.5 million project is funded by State Proposition 50 and city funds. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
Work on the Woodman Stormwater Recapture Project began this month. But it doesn't always have to take high-tech solutions to protect our environment. Case in point, students recently headed to Dockweiler State Beach with just their bare hands to help defend the sea. Yana Kay explains.
Plastic. I found more plastic.
Food, wow.
Paper bags.
Destiny Flores is going through all the trash she found just lying in the sand. What do you think of all the stuff that you found?
That people should clean up more the beach and think before they bring stuff.
Destiny is one of 5,000 elementary school kids who came to Dockweiler State Beach in Playa del Rey to clean it up.
I think it's just better for the community, and it allows us to experience the beauty of the beach.
The cleanup is the culmination of a year-long program that teaches kids how plastic litter ends up in the ocean.
Just because we can't see it doesn't mean it's not there.
The event aims to raise awareness of the adverse impacts of litter and pollution on the ocean.
But it's really the actions of our future generations. The imprint that we leave with them today will stay with them for life.
After the cleanup, the kids used their bodies to form this piece of artwork on the sand. This image, captured by a helicopter, depicts a shark and shield with the message, "Defend the sea." The idea came from a 6th grader.
When I heard about this aerial art, I thought maybe a shark, because, you know, they're the fiercest things out there in the ocean. And what better not a shark to protect our seas, because it's their home too.
We hope to give kids a sense that they're part of something larger than themselves.
Today's cleanup is part of a larger event called Kids Ocean Day, and this is part of 6 in California, with 8,500 students participating statewide. It's events like these that activists hope will help keep our oceans clean and marine life safe. I'm Yana Kay for LA This Week.
The Kids Ocean Day event was organized by the Malibu Foundation of Environmental Education, the California Coastal Commission, and other supporters. Fighting graffiti, your help is needed. Turning guns into art, and school may be out, but your kids can still get free summer lunches. These stories and more in City Beat. Councilmember Eric Garcetti is recruiting anti-graffiti block captains for his anti-graffiti program, UNTAG. UNTAG stands for Uniting Neighborhoods to Abolish Graffiti. Block captains are needed to monitor one block or one hotspot for graffiti. When they find graffiti, they report it via phone or online to the city's Department of Public Works, which will come out to remove the tag. If you live in Council District 13, which includes parts of Hollywood, Glassell Park, and Silver Lake, and are interested in becoming a block captain, call 323-957-4500. Creating works of art from dangerous weapons. Artist Victor Hugo Zavis has done just that. The renowned artist created several sculptures for more than 2 tons of destroyed guns received through the city's recent gun buyback program. Individuals were given supermarket cash cards in exchange for turning in their weapons, no questions asked. The sculptures, meant to symbolize peace and beauty, are currently on exhibit in the lobby of the LAPD Administration Building downtown and will be there till at least mid-July. Just as the city of LA celebrated its 2nd annual LGBT Heritage Month, a recent survey of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgendered youths conducted by the Human Rights Campaign revealed some disturbing facts.
It shows that LGBT people feel discriminated against and do not feel comfortable being open as to who they are in their churches, in their communities, oftentimes in their schools. But the results are also incredibly optimistic. It shows that our teens are resilient.
The Human Rights Campaign surveyed more than 10,000 LGBT youths nationwide. The Department of Recreation and Parks will serve free lunches this summer to young people at more than 100 locations throughout the city. The program will continue from now until August 10th. Children ages 1 to 18 are eligible for the free summer lunch program. The goal of the program is to ensure children receive at least one nutritious and balanced meal per day, even when school is not in session. No registration or sign-up is required. The lunch program is funded by the United States Department of Agriculture. To find the lunch site nearest you, call 818-546-2383 or visit laparks.org/food program. Hollywood stars took a break from movie making to spruce up a community center. Gil Reyes reports from the kickoff of the Bing Summer of Doing event.
No, where do I put the excess soil?
Hollywood actresses Phoebe Tonkin and Teresa Palmer may be used to preening, but pruning, well, that's something new. They and other stars showing their home and gardening skills at the kickoff of Bing's Summer of Doing event. Bing, the search engine for Microsoft, teamed up with the group DoSomething.org. With the help of volunteers, they spruced up Heart of Los Angeles, or HOLA. That's the community center for at-risk youth at Lafayette Park.
It's cool. It's a cool place for them to come hang out and feel nurtured and cared for and be able to express themselves creatively.
The cleanup gave young people something constructive to do while school's out, while giving back to their community.
They need volunteers, they need caring organizations, they need recreation centers to get behind these kids to make sure they don't fall between the cracks.
Volunteers also restored the rec room and painted 2 new murals, all in a day's work while sowing the seeds for a better community. In the Westlake District, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Lafayette Recreation Center provides thousands of underserved kids with free after-school programs in academics, arts, and athletics. And in this week's list of things to do, making your own Japanese noodles, a film festival all about dance, and a car show at the Port of LA waterfront to help kick off the summer. Museums aren't just for browsing. For a hands-on experience, head over to the Japanese American National Museum on Saturday, June 30th to learn how to make your own soba entirely by hand using fresh, stone-milled artisanal soba flour from Japan and authentic soba tools. The class goes from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And at the end of it all, you get to taste the soba you made, served in the classic way, cold with fresh soy-based dipping sauce, toppings, and spices. RSVP early as the class only takes 12 people. The Japanese American National Museum is located at 100 North Central Avenue in Little Tokyo. For cost and to RSVP, go to janm.org. Do you like dance? And how about films? We'll put them both together, and you've got the 11th Annual Dance Media Film Festival presented by Dance Camera West. The festival will screen thought-provoking dance films from around the world. The 3-day festival takes place from Thursday, June 28th to Saturday, June 30th at LACMA, with one event hosted by the Hammer Museum. LACMA is located at 5905 Wilshire Boulevard. Go to dancecamera.west.org for a schedule of events. And there is a whole heck of a lot going on at the Port of Los Angeles waterfront this summer, including a new battleship, the return of fireworks, concerts, and festivals. The first to kick off the summer is the popular premier classic car show, Cars and Stripes Forever, on Friday, June 29th from 5 to 10 p.m. at the Fanfare Fountain, located at Harbor Boulevard and Swinford Street in San Pedro. Like past years, this year's car show will feature hundreds of classic cars and motorcycles, live music, spectacular fountain shows, food trucks, and a beer garden. More info on this free event can be found at portoflosangeles.org. And that's a look at some upcoming things to do. An LA institution just celebrated its 65th anniversary by throwing a huge party for the community. But instead of serving cake, on the menu was its signature sandwich. Anna Marcos takes us to Langer's Deli.
This famous LA landmark is celebrating its 65th birthday with a round of sandwiches on the house. Langer's Deli is serving up its famous number 19, the hot pastrami sandwich that helped put it on the map. Way back when Mr. Langer, the present owner's father, opened shop in 1947.
It's awesome. It's the best sandwich in LA. It might be the best pastrami in the country.
Matters not what you charge, but don't change the product. Same quality, same quantity. And that's something that I provide all of my customers.
How many sandwiches do you think you're going to wind up giving away today?
It's difficult to know how many, but I've got enough product to feed 8,000 people. 8,000.
I'm tired of chewing. My jaws got tired.
So much food.
Oh, Jesus, it's beautiful. Well, I haven't been here since I was a kid.
The LAPD, a vital partner to businesses in this area of Rampart, is also celebrating and chowing down. And they've brought along young members of the police cadet program to help recruit new members.
This is a community event. As you can see, the outpouring from the community, and it's a good opportunity for us to kind of interact with the community and let them know what programs we also have available for the youth in the area here.
If you missed the 65th anniversary bash, not to worry. We get a feeling the number 19 hot pastrami will be on the menu for a long time. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
For more information on the LAPD's cadet program, visit lapdcadets.com. The next Cadet Training Academy begins August 4th. And for a taste of Langer's pastrami sandwich, head on over to 704 South Alvarado Street. Young Angelinos recently showcased their talent at a school concert with bells on, literally. Rasha Goel introduces us to the Twain School Bell Ringers, who will soon perform on an even bigger stage, the world stage, at the London Olympics.
Bell ringers from Mark Twain Middle School rang in the tunes at their 2012 spring concert. And this summer, they will be charming the world with their talent when they represent California at the Summer Olympics in London.
We're the only ones, I believe, from California or the West Coast. Most bell ringers in the world are over 50 years of age, but our bell ringers are 12 and 13, and they'll be the youngest bell ringers in London, probably.
It's a change. It's a life-changing experience. It's going to be fun. But it almost didn't happen.
We needed to raise $107,200 to send our bell ringers to London because they were invited to perform this year 4 concerts during a 10-day period at the 2012 Summer Olympics in London.
And thanks to Councilmember Bill Rosendahl from the 11th District, these kids have the money to enable them to showcase their talent to the world.
I got so excited when I heard about it, and I know that Rex needed 30 grand, that we pushed a few buttons, made a few people this and that. We were able to bring in $30,000 more.
While bell ringing is commonly done in churches with salutatory songs, these students will be bringing a modern feel to their music.
They'll be using that songs from Katy Perry and Adele and Taylor Swift.
The scars of your love remind me of us. They keep me thinking that we almost had it all. The sound of music taking these kids across an ocean for an experience of a lifetime. From Los Angeles, I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
That's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ellen Chang. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
Parents, distinguished faculty, mom, dad. Today's lesson, how to exercise with your kids and save the planet. First, you must believe. B, that your children really are the future. Second, you must do. Instead of jumping in the car, let's go for a walk, or a run, or even a bike ride. No pollution, no oil, no gas. And as long as we obey all traffic safety rules, we're cool. Lastly, you have to live. Live into our big, beautiful, healthy future. Be, do, live. Watch the road.
Hi, I'm Kevin from Chatsworth, offering you a taste of New Orleans since 1986. You're watching LA City View, Channel 35. Our city, our channel.
call the members. Sergeants, do we have any ETAs as to when the council members will arrive? I mean, there's only 2 of us here, and I think we're at a bare quorum today, so I need every member that's supposed to be here. I want to thank Mr. Garcetti and Mr. Rosendahl. Sergeants, get on the phone, call the members. sergeants talk to me. Mr. Reyes has arrived. Good morning. I want to welcome you to today's Los Angeles City Council meeting. At this time, we do not have a quorum, but we will begin today's session with presentations. Mr. Rosendahl. Bill Rosendahl, are you ready for your presentation?
Absolutely.
Mr. Rosendahl, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Get bumped. Okay. All right. Come on. Come on over.
Oh, we sliding?
Slide on. Good morning, Mr. President and my council colleagues. As you could hear, applause has already started because the person I'm going to talk about has been here in the city as a major leader in transportation longer than some of my colleagues have lived. In fact, my colleague, the Italians, just won that game over there. Busciani is 37. So let's just talk about this. John Fisher, right here on my right. Good morning, colleagues. This morning I'd like to take a... There you go. Keep going. To celebrate the career of John Fisher, a brilliant man and highly respected engineer who has served our city for over 39 years. What many of you might not know about John is that he is a native Venetian and a graduate from Westchester High School. John started his career with LADOT back in 1973, where he served in various positions involving freeway, street, and transit improvements. In 1999, John moved up the ladder, earning his current position as Assistant General Manager of the Transportation Operations. John has accomplished so much in his tenure that would be actually impossible to name all of it. Here are just some of his major achievements. He managed and guided the citywide implementation of the Automated Traffic Surveillance and Control Program, a revolutionary system that drastically improved how we manage transportation nationwide, and it was developed right here under John's guidance. He guided the design and construction of the city's Metro Rail program. John is also responsible for moving us into more progressive modes of transportation by accelerating the installation of bike lanes throughout the city, as well as helping to develop a comprehensive pedestrian safety program. Look how far we've come under that leadership. We're probably, as a city of Los Angeles, with our new 5-year bike plan and all that, moving in a direction that many of us know is critical for the future. And John has been the backdrop for that. Good, round of applause. We're getting it from everybody. And frankly, aside from his accomplishments with LADOT, John is also a nationally recognized transportation expert. He has served as the chair of the California Traffic Control Devices Committee, and he also served as a voting member of the National Committee on Uniform Traffic Control Devices. He's been a guest speaker at numerous transportation symposiums and have published 11 articles spanning all aspects of transportation, urban development, as well as Southern California history. He's the consummate professional, experienced, insightful, thoughtful, articulate, and calm under pressure. And I might say in my district, we know the kind of pressures we have, and all the time he walks in unflappable into situations. We've had curves and hillsides and all kinds of questions about safety and traffic. Never forget one day you and I walked through some of the hills in the Brentwood area there, and we walked around and talked to neighbors. And you were so insightful on so many ways that everybody was very happy with your leadership among all of that. Thank you, John, for your passion and commitment to public service here in the city of Los Angeles. You have been a tremendous asset to the Department of Transportation, and frankly, you'll be greatly missed. His wife is right at his side, Sheila. His daughter, Natalie, right here. And his son, Glenn, is right behind us. So we got the next generation moving forward, and I'm excited about that. We have his brother, Don. There he is. Good to see you, Don. And his son. Where's your son? What's your name? Steve. And his son, Steve. So it's an honor for me to present him with a certificate that says all of the things we've just said. God bless you, John. Wow. You're the best. Love you.
Mr. Rosendahl, before John speaks, I'd like to call on Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, Council President. I just wanted to rise and say congratulations to you, John. I think in the we first crossed paths in around 1991. Actually, it was 1989, and I was on the transportation unit for the planning department. And at that time, there was a sense of almost what goes first in terms of transportation policy and implementation. And that was my first exposure to how departments sometimes don't always work together. But I got to say to you, thanks to your stewardship, your diplomacy, we were able to move forward on very key issues back then. Now, fast forward 20-something years, there has been an amazing change. For all the crosswalks, street lights, all the intersections that even though citywide policy might have dictated that's not what we need to do or what we're supposed to do, you saw it was what's needed because it was public safety, it was about children, it was about family, it was about safety, and we were able to benefit from your efforts in a very pragmatic way. On a day-to-day basis, there are kids today that are safe because they have safer passages. Thanks to you and those around you and the staff, my gratitude and my sense of appreciation, because I know you're the unsung heroes, and like I said this before, with the lights on at 8, 9, 10 up to midnight, making deadlines, applying for grants, making sure that the projects come through. It's your hard work that makes it happen. And with the stewardship of Mr. Fisher, who's always the most elegantly dressed gentleman I've seen in this department. I mean, the gentleman is very dapper. No matter where he goes, he really stands out for his class and the fact that he is a real gentleman. Thank you very much, Mr. Fisher. Thank you on behalf of all the children, all the families that are now safer because of the hard work of your team and your discretion. Thank you very much.
Mr. Garcetti.
Thank you, and Mr. Reyes said so much of what I feel as well, what we just spoke about privately. You're the consummate gentleman. You really are. Somebody who always stepped up and helped us produce. I don't think there's a single council member around this horseshoe that hasn't flipped the switch for a brand new project that we have promised. But when we promise, it comes down to you and the people who are behind you to make it happen. And in a city that has grown much more than the infrastructure could handle, it is the most difficult job to undertake. But you have time and time again brought this chaos of traffic in the city down to the block level, the street level, giving some people that relief that they need to be able to see their family, to be in their homes, to get to work, to do the basic things. Because at the end of the day, transportation isn't an end unto itself. It is a means to live the good life here. And anybody who can pull off that class, that stick-to-itness, helping us navigate and think creatively with the teams that you've had behind you, really to me embodies what the best of public service is. And anybody who can still pull off, collar pins like that, I mean, I'm very, very impressed. I think you're going to single-handedly lead the trend back, and I didn't know your other talents like ballroom dancing and all of that. But congratulations on on everything you have achieved. May you have many, many great dances in your retirement. And as I said, keep in touch and continue to give us great advice of how we can plow through this traffic and make this city work for everybody. Congratulations and God bless.
Ms. Perry.
Mr. Fisher, thank you very much for your leadership for an astonishing number of years. Your department is very critical to the quality of life that people experience here in the city, and having represented areas that have been extremely disadvantaged for many years, I can tell you the work that you've done, the very basic bread and butter work of transportation, has made a better quality of life for people who live in communities in South Los Angeles and in areas like Skid Row. And so I want to say a personal thank you to you for being diligent and professional, and obviously having a deep love and passion for what you do. I don't think you could have done it for the number of years that you did it if you didn't have that otherwise. So I'm very grateful for that, and wish you all the happiness in your retirement. Thank you.
Mr. Huizar.
Well, congratulations, John. And, when I first got elected to City Council 6 years ago, you were one of the first people I worked with when we went out and we painted some new stripes on some streets where the community had been asking for some improvements for such a long time. But I recall then, as I do now, how you focused on your work, and it really meant something to you. You wanted to make sure everything was perfect, and you were so focused on making sure that the constituents there knew what was going on. So you've done a great job. As Mr. Garcetti said, it's so important. The day-to-day stuff that you did impacted so many people, and for that we thank you. You've done a great job. I'm going to miss you, but thank you for all the work you've done for the city and for my district. I've seen you there so many times improving the community, so congratulations, and we'll be seeing you around.
Mr. Alarcon.
Hey, John, congratulations. It takes a special leader to address questions raised by city council members directly, even when it's not the answer they want to hear. And I've always found that even when council members were trying to lead you in another direction with a question, or they directly told you they didn't like your answer, that you stuck to what you believed to be correct, and you said what needed to be said. And I have to say that I think it might have cost you a little bit in terms of opportunities that could have been presented to you had you done things a little bit differently. You've been a tremendous representative of civil service, and I want to commend you for that. Even when it was me that was doing the leading and me that was not liking the answers you were giving me, I respected your honesty. I respected your integrity in the process. So congratulations. You've done well for the city, and the city is better for your experience here. Thank you.
Anyway, congratulations, John. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Council President Wesson, Council Member Rosendahl, and other members of the City Council. It is an honor to be recognized by the City Council today on the occasion of my retirement. As you can see, I'm joined here by my family and my many friends and colleagues here at LADOT. All in all, I've had a very good career with the city, and am thankful for being involved in so many important transportation projects, more than I can mention. Only in Los Angeles could I have had the opportunity to be involved in the 1984 Olympics, the detours as a result of the Northridge earthquake, the initial design of our first subway system, the Metro Red Line, the initial design of our first light rail in 30 years, the Metro Blue Line, planning for the express lanes on the Harbor Freeway, which will debut soon, implementing a left turn arrow program, and managing the ATSAC program. It has truly been special being involved with these projects. I was fortunate to have come to the city at, I think, a very special time. I was here under the leadership of Mayor Tom Bradley. I was here to observe the leadership of John Ferraro. And I could watch Ron Deaton working behind the scenes to make things happen. I got to observe all that. And then I could look across the street and observe the brilliance of Kenny Hahn, especially as he developed the Proposition A funding and program, which started the transportation transformation that continues to this day. I was very lucky to observe that. I can also remember some of the special moments that being in City Hall offers. It was a thrill to see one day when I walked into the elevator to see Dizzy Gillespie, the co-inventor of bebop. I walked right in with him and got to meet him. I remember one day when the council recognized the Nicholas brothers, the great tap dancing team from the 1940s. I can also remember seeing Sandra Bullock. I was a few feet from her as she was filming in the City Hall lobby. Those are special moments that you could only have in City Hall. I have always truly believed that in City Hall we play our respective roles. You as policymakers and people like myself who give you the best advice, professional advice that we can. I have had the utmost respect for the City Council as a body, as well as respect for the multitude of responsibilities that you undertake as individual council members. So out of that respect, I've tried to play my role while I respect your role as a policymaker and my role in giving you the best professional advice, even though, as Councilman Alarcon said, it wasn't always what you wanted to hear, but I felt that I had to give you the best advice that I have. I will miss being involved in the many important projects that the City of LA has allowed me to participate in. Most of all, I will miss working with the people in City Hall, not only my colleagues here at LA DOT, but with elected officials in moving projects forward and making projects happen. Once again, I want to thank the full City Council and Councilman Rosendahl for this very gracious resolution today. I will cherish it, and I thank you very much for it.
Congratulations and thank you, Mr. Rosendahl. Mr. Krikorian. Will you be ready when his people depart to the back of the chambers?
I will follow your tricky lead. Well, I'm going to leave.
Mr. President, with your indulgence?
Yes, the floor is yours, Mr. Krikorian.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. President. I'm pleased to be joined by Councilmember Garcetti today. As you know, Councilmember Garcetti and I and many others around the Horseshoe have spent a great deal of our time and efforts in trying to make Los Angeles a more film-friendly city because we know what a dramatic difference it makes to our local economy when production goes on here in Los Angeles, the home of the film and television industry. And we've worked very, very hard to try to make sure that our heritage industry stays here at home where it belongs. And we've had many great partners in that effort. And one of the partners that deserves special mention, I think, is Film LA. Film LA has served a special role in facilitating filming throughout Los Angeles while still trying to work closely with communities in ensuring that that the impacts of filming are not adversely disproportionate in any particular area, and they've done a terrific job on both scores. And we have with us today, I noticed, a few representatives of Film LA, and so I'd like all of the Film LA representatives to come forward if they would. I think we have with us today Paul Audley, the president of Film LA, Donna Washington, the vice president of operations, Philip Sokolowski, the manager of communications, William Thomas, who's the executive director of SAG-AFTRA, and also Todd Lindgren. Oh, hey, Pat, how are you? Good to see you. And although he doesn't know it, the reason that we're here today is to mark the career of service of Todd Lindgren. Surprise, Todd. Todd, unfortunately, he's served very capably in his position as Vice President of Communications and Public Affairs for Film LA for the last 5 years, and regrettably will be losing Todd, I believe next week is your last day. Is that right? So Todd will be leaving us, get this, to become the director of Pepperdine University's Lausanne, Switzerland program. I mean, as if he hasn't had enough of a career that we're all envious of. Now he's going to go and live in Switzerland and be the new director of this program. At Film LA, Todd Lindgren has spearheaded an integrated communications program to build and enhance relationships between Film LA and government clients, entertainment industry customers, and community stakeholders. And as I mentioned, it's made a world of difference in keeping production here. Todd was instrumental in creating and implementing, visualizing, and making it happen, the FilmWorks LA program. And you've seen the hat that I have on my desk, and many of us have FilmWorks stickers around our offices and so on. You see them on trucks all around Los Angeles. And that was Todd's vision, to be able to make visible for the world to see the large impact that production has here in Los Angeles, and remind people of the significant economic boost that gives, not just to the industry, but to our entire economy throughout Los Angeles. Previously, he served as Government Affairs Director and Senior Vice President for the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, which I'm sure Mr. Garcetti is going to want to speak about, and Executive Director of the East Hollywood BID. He was very active in the administration of former Mayor James Hahn. He was Area Director and Director of Entertainment Industry Affairs. He represented the mayor very capably in the North San Fernando Valley. He's been a long-time Los Angeles resident, currently resides in Woodland Hills with his wife and his 4 children. And I want to say on a personal note that Todd, as well as the entire Film LA crew, but in particular, I want to mention Todd's relationship with my office. He's been just a tremendous joy to work with. He's always been there as a partner for us, been instrumental not only in dealing with the difficult filming issues that we always have to deal with in CD2, but also in assisting us with projects that we've worked on, like my own Student Media Festival. So it's been a great joy to work with Todd. I'm really going to miss him, but I know that he's going on to do tremendous work in Switzerland. I'm envious, and I will miss him. Todd, congratulations. Mr. Garcetti.
Thank you. I too will be sad that Todd is going to be gone from Los Angeles, though it's great to know that we all have a friend in Switzerland to visit. And he did an extraordinary job. I first got to know Todd when I was as a young representative working for the with the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, and he was working for the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce. He was just a fun person. He was focused on the prize. He was always able to help us deliver some of those early victories, whether it was making sure that Hollywood's turnaround as a neighborhood occurred, or whether it was bringing the industry back to the boulevard on Hollywood Boulevard to attract media companies to come back to where it all started. He was executive producer of the Hollywood Christmas Parade, I think at least 1 year, couple years, keeping that alive, and that was such a critical thing for our community, and no easy task in a day when stars have 15 layers to get to them in order to give back. He studied under the tutelage of our great Johnny Grant as well, who really knew and loved Todd too. And when we helped to expand our business improvement districts to East Hollywood, he was critical. Obviously, the work that was mentioned with Mayor Hahn, not just in the San Fernando Valley, but for the entertainment industry. So it was a natural when he came to work at Film LA. And I think it's not just a loss for Los Angeles, but it's a loss for the industry to have somebody who's been such a strong advocate moving to Switzerland. I do want him to sign a clause that he promises there will be no runaway production in Lausanne, Switzerland.
Here, here.
But beyond that, in every other aspect, we wish you all success. Look forward to welcoming you back when you are back in Los Angeles. And thank you, Todd, for serving the people of Hollywood in the 13th District and all of Los Angeles. Thanks.
Thanks. All yours, Todd.
Congratulations.
Thank you. This is a really nice surprise. Thank you all very much. I've spent half my life in Los Angeles, and I've gotten to work with amazing people to help make LA a better place, and for that I'm really grateful. I'm glad to count you all as friends. Wherever I go in this world, I will always call Los Angeles home, and I'm sure that our paths will continue to cross. Thank you for this honor.
Thank you very much. And on behalf of the people of the City of Los Angeles, Mr. Garcetti and I want to present this certificate of recognition to Todd Lindgren. Thank you for a job extraordinarily well done.
Thank you.
Okay, before you leave, Todd, Mr. Reyes.
You know, when we look at how we continue to grow jobs, I just want to say to you thank you, because we have been struggling in the past to keep LA that center, that capital that we were in the past. And with your diligence, the help, the stewardship of your team, we've been able to sustain that and build it. So I know when I go through my challenges, when my constituents call and say, why is my driveway blocked? You know, what happened to our street? Who closed it off? Why weren't we called? Film LA and folks like yourselves are part of that team that is able to build up that confidence and predictability for investors who want to come and invest in LA through the film industry. So these are very important roles that you play, and I don't think enough people say thank you to you, because I know what sacrifice it takes to get out there, especially when some of the companies are very hard to deal with. And in response, we need to be diplomatic in how we get to that balancing point of keeping jobs, stay inviting, but also respect our constituents. For that, I say thank you so much. Thank you for your hard work.
Mr. Rosendahl.
Thank you, Mr. President. Todd, we're going to miss you. Filming in LA is what it's all about for us in LA. This is where it all is. This is the incubator of films and television all over the planet. The more we keep it here, the more we engage ourselves here, more jobs we get, more sensitivities. You know, our mountains from the Palisades to Eagle Rock, a lot of people, writers, producers, superstars, all kinds of folks live in this area, up in the hills and the beach in Malibu, in the whole general area. I just had relatives coming from other parts of the country. They couldn't believe our climate. They couldn't believe the incredible energy here, the creativity here. So I want to thank you for keeping us excited and involved. I'm sorry you're leaving, but I want to thank my two colleagues for obviously making this an important moment for all of us. Thank you for what you've done here. We're going to continue to make LA the capital of the film industry throughout the whole world. Thank you very much, and Godspeed with you. Thank you.
Mr. Alarcon. Now, I think you better stand there for a minute or two.
Todd, as you know, it was my pleasure to chair the committee that oversaw the filming aspects of the city's responsibilities, and during that time it was my pleasure to press forward with dozens of transformations, some of them small, some of them had a much larger impact. But in every case, the Film LA found a creative way to solve the problem. When I introduced a motion to create an advertising program to inform the public about how important the film industry was to Los Angeles, but also to inform the film industry itself about how they have to be good players in the community. It was Film LA that stepped forward and created FilmWorks, the advertising outreach program that people see on buses and on commercials and PSAs quite often. And I think as a result that we have seen a better understanding in the community as to why it's so important for them to allow filming to occur in their neighborhoods. At the same time, a better way for them to communicate their concerns when filming does happen in their community. But the most important thing that I think should not be lost here is when we talk about the filming industry, we're not talking about mega studios, just mega studios producing movies. The studios can choose to film wherever they want. They've got the resources to send a film to Africa or wherever they want to film. We're really talking about the entire industry, and the most important thing that we need to focus on is that we are creating quality jobs in our neighborhoods, that these are well-paid positions, that when you work for the film industry, you're typically getting a union wage at minimum on the highest scales of union pay, and that money recirculates in our economy. And so I think that we should take this opportunity with you leaving Film LA to send that message as well. That I hope the people of Los Angeles will reignite their enthusiasm for the film industry and recognize that it is providing benefits to our communities. Your role in that was critical. You were always responsive to our concerns, and I want to thank you personally for that. But more importantly, I want to thank the entire Film LA organization every chance I get for really inspiring us to do the right thing with regard to our film industry. Thank you, Todd.
Thank you, Mr. Alarcon. Mr. Buscaino.
Thank you, Mr. President. I, too, Todd, want to stand and congratulate you and thank you for your years of service with our great city. When it comes to filming in Los Angeles, as a kid growing up in San Pedro, I'll continue to share the story. I'll never forget when my dad, he was at the fishing docks, and during the summer he called my mom and said, "Hey, guess who's down here at the fishing docks filming? Tattoo from Fantasy Island." And we went down in the car. We went down there, took a photo with him, got his autograph. And then right around the corner, a couple years later, down 19th Street in San Pedro, they were filming Chips. When Poncherelli and John were just on their motorcycles filming Chips in San Pedro. And today, at the old at Ante's restaurant in downtown San Pedro, there's an ongoing film production as we speak. And as I drove down in downtown San Pedro the other day, and during one of their breaks, we had cast members walking to our local establishments, to our restaurants in downtown San Pedro, spending money to support our local small businesses in the downtown San Pedro area. The fact that we had Film LA in place, where that notification process is in place for both business and residents, is such a critical component of Film LA. So I just want to stand and recognize you and thank you for being a part of keeping the industry, the film industry, here in our own backyard, and most importantly, working with the neighborhoods and the businesses to let them know what's happening. So thank you, Todd. God bless you, and we wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you. Mr. Huizar.
Thank you. Like the rest of my colleagues, I too want to thank you for your work and to assure you that all the hard work you did not go unnoticed. But I think we spoke about the importance of the jobs that the film industry brings. We spoke about the importance of keeping the industry here in Los Angeles. For me, and the parts of downtown LA that I represented, where a lot of filming is made, you guys were very helpful in dealing with some sensitive issues with constituents that were worked out, and we really appreciate that. And I recall we even had a cleanup on Broadway one time, and you guys were able to go out and help out a whole crew out there, taking out gum that's probably been there for 20, 25 years and scraping that thing off. So you guys have been doing a lot more than just making sure the industry remains here and keeping those jobs here. And Todd, thank you for your work. I really appreciate it. Good luck. And you always have some friends here, as you can tell. And Mr. Krikorian, Mr. Garcetti, thanks for bringing Todd here with us today.
Okay, let's give Todd another round of applause. Hey, Mr. Krikorian, you do have another one, right? Okay. Yes, Mr. Buscaino for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. President. And in keeping with our friendly wager on Wednesday, if we can get a shot of Mr. Garcetti next to Mr. Rosendahl. Obviously, the Italians beat the Germans in the quarterfinals of the Euro Cup. And thank you for fulfilling our friendly wager of sporting an Italian jersey or an Italia jacket. We thank you for that. And we wish the Italians nothing but the best as they face Spain this Sunday in the Euro Cup final. But, Bill, we love you for really keeping to your word.
It's a great game. People were watching it all over the world. Though I'm the German and you're the Italian, congratulations on your victory.
Thanks, Bill. And let me say this. What soccer has done to this world and this nation, and as we get ready for this final, is bring people together from all parts of the world. And that's the beauty of World Cup and European Cup and most importantly, our Major League Soccer here in the States. So it's an amazing sport, and it's an exciting sport. And Mr. Garcetti, do you want to say a few words on this as well?
Mr. Garcetti.
I'm sorry, I'm in Mr. Zine's seat, I know, which breaks all those rules.
But Mr. Labange isn't here, so we just won't tell him.
That's true.
I just want to say I think that Bill looks hot in blue, and that he wears an Italian flag better than anybody that I know. And so thank you for being a man of your word. The Germans put up a very good, methodical fight, but it was the passion of the Italians at the end that won the day.
But let me say this, just what my colleague said. Papa Joe, as I call him, across the horseshoe here. Sports brings the whole world together. Music brings the whole world together. So whenever we can be positive on this planet and relate in a positive way, it's healthy for the world. So God bless the world, God bless international sports, and let's keep going in a positive way on this great earth. Thank you very much.
You look like a soccer player, Mr. Rosendahl. Mr. Weezar?
Put on the record to say that Bill looks really good in that blue sweater. So
He really does. Now, we're going to if there are any other announcements, members, now would be the time to do it. Mr. Reyes, anyone with announcements, please do it now.
Thank you, Council President. Tomorrow on Avenue 50, we're having a community cleanup. It's Avenue 50 in Figueroa. We invite the community folks with the Northeast. We essentially are going to be looking at removing graffiti, cleaning the parkway, targeting the areas around the park. These are transit corridors. We have bus stops. We have a rail station about 5 blocks away. So we'd like to focus on bulky items and the trash buildup, especially along the corridors where the seniors and those who are transit dependent can have a more comfortable, a more desirable experience in our communities. So it's a very basic way of coming out. Bring your gloves, and we will provide shovels and brooms, and we'll have trucks, and we'll pick up the debris, and let's demonstrate our community pride in cleaning up our own neighborhood. So we welcome you all. It'll be around 8:30 in the morning, 9 a.m., and please come on down. Bring your tios, your tias, uncles, aunts, bring your cousins. Make it a family thing. It'll be a good thing to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. Mr. Buscaino.
Thank you, Mr. President. As we've heard over the course of the last few months, there's a lot happening in the Port of Los Angeles. And what a way to kick off the summer with two main events today, kicking off the ribbon cutting of Crafted in the Port of Los Angeles, warehouse number 9. In about 10 minutes, they're going to open its doors for the first time. And tonight, Cars and Stripes Forever, set to begin at 5 o'clock at the Port of Los Angeles. The 4th annual Cars and Stripes event, live music from the Riptides, 110 South, Radioactive, more than 100 classic cars and motorcycles on display, dancing waters at the Gateway Plaza Fanfare Fountain, food trucks, beer garden, the Dodger Street Team, ride the red car for free. We want to thank our Port of Los Angeles for being that great community partner and showcasing the great things that are happening in the port. And as we all know, July 7th will be the opening of the USS Iowa, so be sure to purchase your tickets, pacificbattleship.com. A lot of great things happening in the Port of Los Angeles. We welcome everyone across the city to come and visit and spend their money down here at the harbor. Thank you.
Mr. Huizar.
Thank you, Mr. President. And there's a lot happening this weekend in Council District 14 to celebrate the independence of our great country. First, we have a bicentennial committee of El Sereno hosting, along with my office, a parade that begins on Huntington Drive at 2 o'clock. Welcome everyone to go. Then after that, we'll have a concert at the El Sereno Park at 4 o'clock with fireworks starting at 8 o'clock. And then in Boyle Heights, that same evening, this Saturday, we'll have some more fireworks at Hollenbeck Park that should begin about 8 or 8:30. And finally, on Eagle Rock, at 9 o'clock, we'll have fireworks on Sunday. I want to invite everybody out there. What I love about this, Mr. President, is that when I first got elected and I had a fireworks show at a local park, because fireworks are illegal in the city of Los Angeles. And and I did this because I recall I used to go to that same park as a kid. But the great thing about it was that folks said, we hadn't seen a local fireworks show in the East Side for over 30 years, and it's great to bring back these fireworks shows. It brings the community together, and for a great cause, which is the birthday of our great country. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Huizar. Mr. Alarcon, followed by Mr. Rosendahl.
Council members, it's my pleasure to announce to the greater Los Angeles public a tremendous event that will occur at the Boys and Girls Club this Saturday, June 30th, from 2 to 8 p.m. This is a big country and blues jamboree that will raise money for the Boys and Girls Club. I'd like to mention that the Boys and Girls Club of the San Fernando Valley is having a tough time, particularly because of the economic challenges we are facing. And so it would be great to have the community support this program that has been long serving the communities of Pacoima and Lakeview Terrace and surrounding communities. The good old country music and down home blues will be performed at the Boys and Girls Club of the San Fernando Valley at 11251 Glen Oaks Boulevard in Pacoima, near the intersection of Glen Oaks and Van Nuys Boulevard. The cost is $20 for adults and $10 for kids. Performances will be made by numerous very talented bands: Parker Road, the Mary White Band, Deborah Lee and Trigger Happy, and Mike Mann and Cowboy Soul. We want you to come out and support the Boys and Girls Club of the San Fernando Valley, and in doing so, supporting youth in positive, supervised activities at the Boys and Girls Club. Oh, Mr. President, I neglected to mention that there will be a mechanical bull, face painting, fancy boot and hat contest that I think you might be particularly interested in, and of course, food and beverages.
Thank you. Mr. Rosendahl, followed by Ms. Perry.
So thank you. And I'd like to say, as we get ready for the 4th of July weekend, I just want you to know that on Saturday, June 30th, the West LA Sanitation Open House. Everybody comes from West LA to that. It's an incredible all day with food, music, truck rides. The kids love it. They love it because they can ride in a garbage truck, and they can laugh a bit. And it's about multifamily recycling and bulky item collection. So that's going to be great. And then when you get ready for the 4th of July, and everybody's got 4th of July plans, but come to Venice Beach. We have an incredible fireworks display that you're going to be able to see over the ocean. It's a county city event. It's an annual tradition. And so when you come to the beach, enjoy the day, and when the sun sets and the fireworks start, you can have a fantastic time. And if you're into parades, on the 4th of July, we're going to have one in Westchester at 11. And by the way, everybody in Westchester is getting excited about when the Endeavor comes in. That's going to happen in the fall. But they have an incredible parade. And then the iconic parade we will have at 1 o'clock, which is up in the Palisades. Tens of thousands of people actually come to that one. And for us politicians, we got to go and wave, and sit in cars, and we hope everybody's applauding and saying yes. But once again, it's an interaction with our constituents. So if you want parades, come to Westchester, come to the Palisades. You want to see fireworks, Come on to Venice Beach. Thank you, Mr. President.
Ms. Perry.
I'm sorry, Mr. President. I just wanted to note that I think we have a quorum, and we needed to do Andrea Orden. So if we could take that out of order for her.
Okay, when we get to that point, I want to complete the announcement phase of the program, and then we'll go through the agenda, and we have one more presentation. So, Mr. Alarcon.
Yes, members. In Lakeview Terrace, Pacoima, we are also having a major event at the Hansen Dam facility. This is the American Heroes Air Show, which has been conducted since 1993. It allows people to actually walk in and out of helicopters and other public safety equipment. And we typically get thousands of people coming to see these vehicles. Also, they focus on demonstrations related to search and rescue and Homeland Security and national defense. This is a great opportunity for those who might be interested in public safety careers to go visit to see this equipment. We have hosted it in the district for quite a few years, dating back to the 90s. And I want to mention it's at the Hansen Dam Sports Complex of the San Fernando Valley at 11480 Foothill Boulevard in Lakeview Terrace. The admission is free. And as well as parking is free. It is sponsored by a number of events. This is a really tremendous event. It pretty much covers the baseball area of the complex. A very large event, and I hope you can attend from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. this Saturday, June 30th. And I hope the people can come to experience something different, but at the same time, very interesting.
Thank you. With that said, Madam Clerk, we do have a quorum. Could you call the roll?
Alarcon, Buscaino, Cardenas, Englander, Garcetti, Weezer, Caress, Krikorian, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Zine, Wesson, 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
First order of business. First order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Mr. Alarcon approves. Mr. Weezer seconds. Next.
Committee resolutions for approval.
Okay. Mr. Koretz moves. Buscaino second. Let's quickly go through the agenda. Could you go through the first set of items?
Yes. Before we begin, Mr. President, there's a request to continue item 3 to July 24th and to continue items 10 and 19 to July 3rd.
Without objection.
Items 1 through 11 are items for which public hearings have been held.
Okay, why don't we hold the 2 commission appointments for now? And members, any other specials?
24th? Yeah. We need to continue item 10 till July 24th.
Okay, we want to continue July 10 to July, item 10 to July 24th, not to the 3rd. Okay, Mr. Koretz.
I'd like to call item 14 special.
We're not there yet.
Are we not?
Okay, we are on items 1 through 11, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so on the remaining items, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Next set of items.
Mr. President, correction for item 3 is continued to July 3rd. Items 12 through 29 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes required for consideration.
Cards
on items 12, 17, 18, 20, 23, and 26.
Members, any specials? Mr. Koretz.
Yes, once again, number 14.
Okay, 14, Mr. Koretz. Any other specials? On the remaining item, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Where are we now, Madam Clerk?
Items 30 and 31 are closed session items. Do you wish to hold those on the desk?
Yes, until I confer with our attorneys. So we'll hold. Oh, Mr. Buscaino.
Yes, Mr. President, item 31, we can hear an open session, and we can move forward on item 31.
Okay. On items 30 and 31, then, well, we're going to hold item 30. On 31,
Mr. President, I'm going to read the recommendation for item 31. There's a recommendation for settlement in the amount of $100,000 in the case entitled The City of Los Angeles versus Fernando Flores.
Okay, on that item, let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Where are we?
On the continuation agenda, item 32 is an item for which public hearings have not been held.
How many items are on the continuation agenda?
Just one. And there's a request to receive and file this item.
Let's, any cards?
No cards.
Mr. Buscaino?
Thank you, sir. Item 31 forthwith, please.
Okay, we're going to go back, and I'm going to be sending a lot of things forthwith, but without objection on that. So now let's open the roll on this item. Open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
That brings us where?
Mr. President, that brings council to general public comment or items called special.
Okay, so we do have a special meeting or another meeting. We have a few items, so let's just hold those, and we'll get back to them later. So at this point in time, I want to do one, the last presentation, if I could get Mr. Krikorian and Mr. Koretz. And then, Madam Commissioner, you will be the first item up.
It's up to you. Okay, thank you. Members, yeah, come on. We're on line up behind you here. Members, when my father first settled in Los Angeles, was born in Los Angeles, I should say, and grew up here, there were no Armenian high schools or any schools anywhere in Los Angeles. Holy Martyrs Ferahian Armenian High School was founded in 1964 as the first Armenian day school created not only here in Los Angeles, but anywhere in the United States. The founding principal, Gabriel Injijikian, had a vision for Armenian education, and it came to fruition with the opening of Ferahian Armenian High School. And as you all know, since that time, there have been a great number of Armenian schools that have opened up throughout our city, throughout Southern California, and elsewhere in the United States. Well, in that time, since 1964, there has never been any Armenian high school anywhere that has won a CIF team championship in any sport until March 3rd, 2012, when the Holy Martyrs Ferahian Armenian High School defeated their Liberty League rival Providence High School in the CIF Southern Section Division 5A championship basketball game, winning 65-62 in a dramatic overtime finish. That championship game was played in Anaheim, a far distance from Mr. Kretz's district, where Ferahian High School finds itself. But that game was attended by 500 fans of the Armans. Parents and former players from throughout the area came to cheer on the Armans because this had such great significance, not only to the Ferahian family, but to the entire Armenian American community. So it is with great pleasure that I would like to present to you, along with Mr. Kretz, who's going to say a few words as well, the CIF Southern Section Division 5A Championship basketball team from Holy Martyrs Ferahian Armenian High School. Congratulations, gentlemen.
Well, I'm delighted that you're all joining us here today, and so proud that we in City Hall have this wonderful opportunity to salute you for your historic championship win. Ferahian Armans has done a lot to bring pride to your school, your parents and family, the Armenian community, and Encino, which I'm honored to represent. I applaud your gallant play. I compliment your head coach, your athletic director, all the teachers, staff, and administration who have helped along the way. You triumphed in what had to be one of the most exciting games possible. In clutch moment after clutch moment, we know you rose to the occasion to make the most out of what will be one of the great and remarkable moments of your lives. You played your heart out. You had a tremendous season. You had an incredible title game with a lot of individual accomplishment, but even more notable, some tremendous teamwork. And hopefully you will inspire others to show the same kind of teamwork in all of their areas of life. Each of you are heroes, and because of what you did on the basketball court, and because of how you've conducted yourself as athletes, students, and individuals, you're credit not just to yourselves, but to your school and your families, and to everyone who's been part of your success. And so we congratulate you on your victory, and we thank you for the thrills and pride that you've given us and given to the community. Thank you so much.
And Mr. President, if I may, I'd like to invite up a Ferahian graduate of the class of 1988 who's been very active in the Alumni Association at Ferahian High School, Eileen Amirian. Eileen?
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the entire Holy Martyrs Ferahian Armenian School and our championship team, the Armens, I would like to thank Councilman members Paul Krikorian and Paul Koretz for having the foresight to organize this presentation and honor the Armens for their well-deserved championship victory. I would also like to thank and congratulate the team and coach on their hard work and perseverance that has transformed into this remarkable accomplishment. After 43 years in the making, these young men have made history and made the entire Armenian community proud. Enjoy this precious moment, boys, because times like these are few and far between. It's a privilege for me to be able to speak on behalf of Ferahian as an alumnus and ultimately as an Armen. In order for you to understand the impact that this school and athletic program has on the lives of every Armenian child who attends, I'd like to take a brief moment to describe how it has affected my life. After attending public schools in '81, my first year at Holy Martyrs, my life as a 5th grade student began, and I instantly fell in love with the concept of growing up surrounded by Armenians. The teachers, my back then principal, Mr. Injijikan, who happens to be the founder of this first ever Armenian school in the country, and friends were a unique and special group of people. I had never experienced anything like it. I was very happy. I had a sense of belonging. It truly was my home away from home. Since that day in September of 1981, the day I finally began to understand my identity as an Armenian, I have built and continue to build, as an alumnus, lifelong and meaningful relationships with many fellow Armenians. But the most incredible change I experienced was 3 years later, in 1984, when I made it on the school's girls' varsity basketball team, and in my own eyes, officially became an Armenian, an Armen Armenian, excuse me. And the best days of my life began. I wasn't the greatest student academically, but became inspired to do well so that I can play basketball and be a part of my school's alma mater. Being an Armen made me want to do better, in school and in life. As an Armen, I was taught to work hard, and that hard work leads to positive outcome. To respect myself and others. To be kind yet confident. To fight with dignity. And most importantly, to be proud yet humble. I was taught this by my team members, and especially my coach, whom I have developed an everlasting and special relationship with. The respect that we all have for each other radiates in our community as well. We have a very powerful bond and support group that is unbreakable. Being an Armin is an indescribable feeling. It is a sense of unity, purity, honesty, strength, and a unique camaraderie that I wish upon many. As Armins, we strive to know better so that we can do better. This is what I took from being an Armin. It is amazing to me that after 31 years, I still have these strong feelings. But it is now, as an older adult, that I realize what I didn't always understand back then. I am so proud and honored to be a part of such a special athletic program and school. Boys, I'm confident that in years to come, when you look back as I do, you too will know the significant impact that all of this will have had on your lives as well. And remember, once an Armin, always an Armin. Thank you.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also want to acknowledge the presence and recognize the team's head coach, Coco Caprielian, and the longtime athletic director of the Armins, Varant Vartabedian. And speaking on behalf of the team, I'd like to introduce Nishan Kanjoyan, the team's captain. Nishan?
Right.
Who would have thought that a small Armenian private school from Encino, California would end up winning the Division 5A Southern Section CIF Championship? Achieving such an accomplishment probably never even crossed any of our minds at the beginning of the year. But we are blessed to be in the position we are in today, and we couldn't have done it without each other. And by each other, not only do I mean my teammates and coaches, but also the whole community. We, as in the team, receive many gifts and praises for winning. But the fans, alumni, the whole community gave us the greatest gift anyone can give to another person. They believed in us. Seeing the crowd of yellow at Mater Dei High School during our championship game inspired us to achieve greatness. It was a day to remember. That day we made everyone proud. That day we made history. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, members. We're also joined by the school's principal, John Kosakian, and as you look behind us, you'll see that we're joined by many, many students and alums and fans of the Armins, who I'd like to ask all to stand up for a moment. As you can see, this is the Armenian Hoosiers here, and it means so much to our community to have them all here. And I'd like to present on all of your behalf, I'd like to present with Mr. Kretz this resolution congratulating the Armins on their enormous and historic win. And I'd like to receive that resolution right now from another alum of Ferahian High School, my Chief of Staff, Adrien Nazarian.
Councilor Krikorian, as Councilor Garcetti would say affectionately, the Hoosierians, right? Suppose the Hoosiers? Okay. Thank you, Councilor Krikorian. Councilor
colleagues.
Koretz?
And again, it's our honor and our great pride in recognizing the wonderful players of this tremendous high school.
Fantastic. Congratulations to the champions. Now, Madam Clerk, if we can move to item number 1, I believe.
Item number 1, the commission appointment.
This will be a new appointment, and we have with us, I want to thank Miss Andrea Sheridan Orden. I'd like to come up to the center table. I want to thank you for your great work in the city, and please come on up.
Thank you so much.
And Let's just hold the item until we clear the chamber. Good morning.
Good morning, and it's a great pleasure to be here.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Well, I understand this is for the Board of Police Commissioners.
It is. I've been asked by the mayor if I would return after serving 5 years for one more year to fulfill the term of Alan Scobin, who, as you know, has gone to the Fire Commission.
Well, thank you again. We do have a couple of council members on the queue. I'd like to call up Councilman Rosendahl.
Well, good morning. We had an incredibly good discussion, and I really appreciate your work over the years. You have great insight into what we need to do, what we need to monitor, what we need to hold officers accountable for. When they put on their uniform in the morning, we know that they're in harm's way. We know that they have to deal with that part of reality that many of us don't want to deal with. Murder and robbery and all kinds of significant issues that not only put them in harm's way, but are critical for us to resolve and solve. I got to tell you, when that young man, Oscar Duncan, was gunned down a couple of weeks ago, a 23-year-old, absolutely inspirational young man, our police force, within 72 hours, were able to capture the shooter, as the DA identified him as such, as well as the driver of the vehicle. Police work is the most challenging in any society in the world. It's the same on one level as military realities and conflicts and life and death issues. A couple of days later, we had another incident in Westchester. And the knowledge that the officers had on that issue quickly moved forward and happened. But the oversight is also critical. People have different issues and attitudes, but you are a strong, capable, experienced leader. And I think also the fact that you're a woman is a dramatic plus. As I've always said, more women in power, the happier I am. More women in the police force, the happier I am, and I know you will continue to provide that leadership. Just thank you for coming back on board to do this.
Well, I thank you very much for your kind words.
Ms. Perry.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And I had been asked by the chairperson of Public Safety to introduce Ms. Orden and also to thank her for her service that she's about to embark upon and for her past service. She had been a member of the Board of Police Commissioners for 5 years, from June 2005 to February 2010, and she comes with an extensive legal background and practice at the federal level and also in the public sector, most recently from the County of Los Angeles. And I think she is highly qualified. I think we already know the quality of her work, and it was nice to be able to chat with her this morning and to note that I had worked at a law firm many years ago as a paralegal that she came to later in downtown Los Angeles, so you never know where your paths will cross, but I find her to be a highly thoughtful, incredibly experienced, very grounded in equity and social justice issues. And so I think it will be a wonderful thing to welcome her back to the Police Commission, to bring her broad perspective and depth of experience.
I thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Huizar.
Thank you, Andrea. You did an incredible job your first round of duty, and this is another great addition. As Mr. Rosendahl pointed out, this is a very important commission for the city of Los Angeles. You are there not only to make sure that we have the best public safety possible for our constituents, but also to balance the interests of providing the best law enforcement and the civil rights of individuals. And I've seen your work in this respect in your first tour of duty. You've done an incredible job. I respect the work you've done, the thoughtfulness you've put into this, and I think the mayor did a great job in asking you to come back and serve again. So I wholeheartedly support you, and I look forward to working with you.
And I do want to thank you. There are no additional speakers in the queue. Let's prepare to vote. Madam Clerk, Mr. Herman, this item has already met the public hearing requirements, so that's why I didn't call you or Mr. Sachs. So let's prepare to vote. Let us, Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome. Okay, with that said, we're going to go to general public comment. I'll call 3 names, and I expect to see 3 people. Charles, I understand that you had an incident. If you could come forward. William Rasmussen, Megan Ryan. So, Charles, where are you? William and Megan. Hi, Charles.
Good morning, Council. I would just like to say that I had a feeling when I left the house to rock that blue and gold, and because I knew the Armins were going to be in the house, and I wanted to show some great support. I just want to say that MMJ dispensaries are willing to reach out to the community in any way possible. If you guys want to let us know how to do that, how to help reach out to the people, be involved with our city, let us know how. Always happy to. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, Charles. Mr. Rosendahl, after these 3 cards, we'll go to the next commissioner. Yes, sir.
I'm William Rasmussen. I'm 59 years old, and for 11 years I've been living with full-blown AIDS. And I want to say how grateful I am to have been afforded, at my time of need, safe access to medical marijuana. I only can maintain my regimen of HIV drugs, pharmaceutical drugs, with medical marijuana as a supplement, and sometimes as a substitute. Please, council members, continue to respect the Compassionate Use Act as we voted in the 20th century, and eliminate all bans and maybe stipulate regulations at last. Where's your spirit in all this? I wonder, is it paid for? Mae West said something. She said, too much of a good thing is fabulous. Too much safe and affordable access might be fabulous for everybody. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Ryan, Megan Ryan.
Good morning, Council. Thank you to those of you that were here, and thank you, Mr. Weston, for being on time this morning. My name is Megan Ryan. I'm a graduate of UCLA. I'm a medical cannabis patient. I'm here to ask you to remove any bans, no matter how gentle, from any future agendas. You small group of people who sit before me represent 4 million of the most progressive people on the planet. People move to Los Angeles for the liberal lifestyle, for the opportunities that you can't find anywhere else, for the freedoms that we take for granted. Why then are we wasting our time even considering a ban on collectives, on medical cannabis dispensaries? People voted for medical cannabis years ago, in 1996, and since then, they've taken their most important American vote, their dollars, and they've turned to medical cannabis in droves. The state is considering legislation to help regulate collectives and dispensaries. The state supports collectives. The state supports medical cannabis. The people of LA are progressive. We should have an amazing, beautiful, progressive city to live in. We should have mass transit that works. We should have rooftop gardens to cool our buildings and beautify our city. We should have a better recycling program. We should be trying to target zero waste and zero homelessness. LA wants to be green. That pun is intended. Please remove any bans on collectives, on medical cannabis from any future agendas. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ryan. Madam Clerk, I want to go through items that we're going to send to the mayor super forthwith. Item 4, 11, 26, or we held 26, right? 27 and 28. And at this point, I need to call for a reconsideration vote on item 7. So members, this vote is for reconsideration on item 7. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 eyes.
Mr. Reyes, well, Mr. Weezer?
Yes, Mr. President, are you sending all items forthwith? If not, I have a request for one.
Well, if you want, we can send off forthwith. I was just dealing with super forth. Which one do you want?
20, please. 20.
20 is forthwith.
20 is...
As held by cards. I just looked at my notes. So when we get to it, we'll do that. Okay, so now we need to vote on the item. Let's...
Mr. President, for the items that are super forthwith, council should first vote to suspend the rules.
Okay, so we will vote to suspend the rules. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 eyes.
Okay, so those items that I indicated to you previously will go super forthwith. Now, can we go back to 7 and vote on the...
Yes.
Or did you need to say something, Mr.
No, it's
Ray?
a technical amendment.
Okay. So yes.
Excuse me, for item 7, was there an amending motion?
Yes, it should have been circulated by now. It's an amending motion.
It has not been circulated yet.
Okay, but it is essentially, it's a technical amendment. Do you have it?
Mr. City Attorney, you want to just hold this until we actually get the amendments?
Yeah,
Mr. Reyes,
it's been circulated. Okay.
It has been circulated?
It's being now as we speak, I believe.
Okay, so we'll hold that. Now we'll go to item 2, Mr. Rosendahl.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. We have an incredible gentleman who's stepping up to be a commissioner of taxi cabs. Come on up, my friend. And I might say that he's an Armenian, and this is sort of an Armenian day with the sports and everything else. Please have a seat. His name is Joseph, really, for my thing, Karamian. So I need to be corrected by Mr. Krikorian on that, the proper pronunciation of this gentleman's name. He gave me a thumbs up, so I guess I did pretty good. I had a wonderful interview with him, and I'm going to have him tell you about his life, but the things that hit me the most was he started driving a cab. Like so many people in our city come from all over the world, and they drive a cab. A cab becomes your own sensibilities. You know, you can own your cab or you could be part of a cab setup, but you're an independent person moving around and you bring a lot of positive energy. So he's been a cab driver. He's also been a union organizer. He also has looked out for workers in many different ways. And I want him to tell you all a little bit about his background. And I can tell you from my standpoint, a person who understands the taxi cab industry hands-on is excellent to put on this commission. So share with my colleagues who you are and your background.
Thank you, Council Member. First, it's a pleasure to be here again. Thank you. I have, going on 2 decades, been an organizer and a union rep and a union negotiator at various locals and nationals. Most of you know me from EAA, and before that I was with the Newspaper Guild and AFSCME. So I bring that background to this. Also, as Councilmember Rosendahl said, I drove a cab in a very long time ago before I went in the Army. Spent a couple of years driving a cab, and then after I spoke with Mr. Rosendahl, I realized my dad actually, when he came here, that was one of his jobs, his first jobs in New York City. He drove a cab. So New York City, Washington, D.C., that's where we drove cabs back on the East Coast. My dad was also an immigrant. That was one of his first jobs. Then, at the risk of making it an Armenian Day, I am Armenian, even though the last name doesn't have the IAN. One of those Armenians that lost the IAN along the way, but I feel privileged to be on the taxi cab board governing an industry where so many of my people thrive.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Garcetti?
Thank you. I want to stand up in support of our nominee and thank you for putting yourself forward for this. This is one of the most it's been one of the more volatile areas. I think Mr. Rosendahl has done a super job as our transportation chair, tackling some of the biggest taxi cab issues we've had in a number of years. But you and I were just chatting a little bit, and Mr. Rosendahl pushed, for instance, and we all very much supported moving towards hybrid taxi cabs. I think that's been a very positive thing. But I have two questions for you. One, we have some interesting electric car companies that are here in town now, either from other places or some of them based out of here, that are interested in potentially working with our taxi cab companies to have a fleet of electric car taxi cabs. In Shenzhen, China, BYD, which has its North American headquarters here, has a huge fleet of 100% electric taxi cabs. So if you had any thoughts about trying to do that. Secondly, we just chatted briefly, but there's also been a lot of talk potentially about going to a medallion-based system here. Mr. Krikorian will like this because of the budgetary implications, but it's been estimated that a medallion-based system, which I haven't really ever heard any opposition on any side of these issues where people do disagree, could raise as much as $25 million in a single year for the city in terms of revenue. And ongoing revenue as we expand that. It gives people kind of a sense of ownership, and many other cities have that. But I know we had a very quick conversation and something we probably both need to study further, but if you have any thoughts on that too, would love to hear.
I look forward to investigating the medallion possibilities in Los Angeles. I hadn't up to this point, but it seems like something that merits investigation. And on the electric car front, I think electric vehicles, hybrid vehicles are very important to the industry. I think I would like to examine how the drivers don't kind of carry the burden of that transition. But otherwise, I think that it's the way the industry is headed.
And you don't need to, make any commitment today or anything like that. Certainly wasn't trying to pigeonhole you, but it was interesting in China. The drivers had about double the income in electric vehicles than in non, because the maintenance costs are so low. The internal combustion engines being run around the clock in a normal taxi is very difficult, and hybrids are even more complex. But in electric, there's no internal combustion engine; it's just a motor. And also in the fuel costs, it's about a third. So it brings more profit to the drivers, and it was very successful because it does take a few hours to charge, but you have a big charging station where people can kind of switch them in and out. So we'll make sure to connect you with some of the electric car companies that have talked about it in Mr. Rosendahl's office to see what we can do to put that forward. But thank you again for your service. You have my fullest support.
Thank you, Mr. Garcetti. On this item, let's get ready to vote. Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Has the amendment on item 7 been circulated?
Yes.
Okay, so now let's go to item 7 for the final vote. Let's open the roll, Madam Clerk. Close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Okay, now we will return to general public comment. We will go to the Valley to hear Marion Fogler and Donna Pearman. They made the front page of the L.A. Extra a day or so ago.
Yes, I am, and I'm telling you right
now. You're a celebrity.
Yes, I am, and I mean business here, because the fact is that we have a right to be heard here in the Valley, and this what you've done, and I need to tell you, we're disabled, okay, and we have a right to be here, and so does the public. This needs to be open every week, 3 times a week, all the meetings. It should be, and it's got to be here. No matter if there's one person here, okay, you got to have this open, even if there's nobody here. This is only $11,000 a year, and it's nothing. It's going to do anything to you at all. Furthermore, there are people who are running for office here, such as my Councilman Coney, running for Congress. All these people think that shutting this off is going to get them, advance them to their new offices. Think second, because we're going to let the people know, and they're not going to vote for you. Okay, I'm going to vote for Zine. We're not going to vote for Krikorian, making sure that you are being stopped. And Mr. Koretz, you have something to say important. We need a camera here that people can see you here. I don't think you're treating the valley the way you want to treat downtown the same. And that's why the reason why you seem to think you're sticking it to us saying we need to go down there. You are out of your minds to think that the valley should just come all downtown. And forget about the valley. I mean, we don't have a city hall here. Look at all these beautiful seats. You know, the way you don't have your meetings consistently run. You know, you don't bring up the specials when you're supposed to. People don't have the time to take off. They don't have the food, the water. You just don't get it.
Thank you, Miss Pearman. We're still in the valley. Miss Donna Pearman.
Another celebrity. Anyway, I want to thank you for not canceling the meeting, even though you're very late. The city council members have done everything to say the voice of the valley is unimportant.
And surprise, 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 we'll be back.
Yeah, we'll be back. We'll be back. LA City Council does not care. Okay.
Ms. Fogler, let Ms. Pearman
LA City does not care about the valley. LA City Council does not care about the valley. It shows I wanted to close the valley connection. Let's have the valley tell with the polls that the city council can't put their blinders on when it comes to how they feel about the valley. Hey, valley, let's tell those the valley voters. Tell us how do you feel about their apathy toward the valley. Don't vote for Cardenas for assembly. Don't vote for Dennis Zine for controller. Both of those don't care about the valley. They want to close this down. Next year, I wouldn't vote for Jan Perry because she says she only cares about L.A. She doesn't care about the valley. I would vote for Eric Garcetti for mayor. The reason people don't come down to council meetings they're not set in a reasonable manner. You can't switch public comment wherever you want it instead of the beginning. They should only move it if it's an emergency. You move the agenda items at will, or maybe you move it another day at will. The items already held may or may not let the people have a moment to speak. You don't know. It's up to the council. And you wait for hours with presentations. That's why I was yawning in the paper. Lengthy speeches by the councilmen to finally realize the city council does not really listen to you unless it's already how they feel. If you're saying something that how they really feel, how they want to vote, then they do it. Except sometimes. Remember, fee waivers. I think who knows, we might have gotten rid of that. So,
thank you very much. Thank you. Now we'll come back to the downtown council chambers. Kristen Finley, Stephen Parks, Alexi Keats.
Morning, Council. I'm glad to see you guys all here today. My name's Kristen Finley. About a month ago, I had the amazing opportunity to go to Italy. Obviously, since my medical marijuana rec doesn't extend to that country, I left my meds at home. Unfortunately, while I was there, my IBS reared its ugly head. Every day, I woke up with pain, nausea, and vomiting. In order to stop my stomach from spasming, I had to get shots every day in my butt from a doctor there. While these shots helped stop the vomiting, they didn't help with my eating, and I had an extremely difficult time eating or digesting any food while I was in Italy. I had to get injections daily in order to feel better. Here, in order to feel better, I need a simple plant. A plant that has been used medicinally for thousands of years. If you place a ban on medical marijuana, I will have to get daily injections in order to live and function, and I don't want this to be my reality. There have been several people in my life that have tried to make me feel ashamed of medicating with marijuana. But I ask you, what option do I have? I can medicate with an herb that is safe and easy, or I can suffer through injections and pain. I struggle with one of the most basic human functions, with eating. People tell me, I wish I was you. You're so lucky. No, I'm not. How do you think this has affected my psyche? If I physically cannot eat, how can I do anything else? Please don't limit my life. Don't place any form of ban on medical marijuana because it will prevent me from living. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Parks.
Good morning, Council. My name is Stephen Parks. I'm a U.S. Army veteran, and I'm here just to speak about safe access. Without safe access, the only alternatives are basically turning to maybe drug dealers on the street or just dangerous criminals. And all I really want today is to ask to continue to have my safe access. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Keats. It's like I know all of you by face now. Go on, sir.
Good morning, Councilmember Wesson. My name is Alexi Keats, and thank you again for your time today. As a rational human being, I've always grappled with the idea of miracles. For many, miracles are everywhere. They're blessed with a firm faith in the unseen, but for me, however, I'm more skeptical. I need proof, and miracles rarely deliver in that arena. So the problem with skepticism, though, is that the proof you need to believe in miracles often rests in the darkest of places. I found my proof in the sick, in young men crippled by MS, in balding cancer patients suffering through chemotherapy. I found the miraculous in that portion of our people that knocks daily on death's door. Because in that same number, I have watched violent tremors cease, crushing nausea vanish, hunched back straighten, and sobs turn to laughter. All due to the miracle that is medical cannabis. The ordinances that would limit or eliminate the collectives in Los Angeles would strip safe, affordable access to that miracle. Literally thousands of men and women suffering through every stage of illness would suddenly become criminals who must turn to the truly nefarious elements of society just to get relief. I am telling you, if you had seen what I have seen, you'd be standing at this podium saying exactly what I'm saying. Remove all ordinances to ban collectives from any future agendas. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. John Walsh, Daniel Sosa, and Kobe Lopez. Mr. Sosa, just go right on up. First to the mic, first to speak. Yes, sir.
Greetings, Council. I'm here today to urge you once again to take any bans regarding medical cannabis completely off any future agendas. Please just wait for some guidelines from the state. Just take it off the agenda now so we don't have to keep coming down here until July 24th every day and talking, so you guys can table it again. Just do it now. Let's save us all some time. Come on. Just do it now. Just do it now, guys. Save us all time, please. Please. I just want to point a couple things out you guys might not be aware of. I just want to know if you guys know that did you guys know that the emergence of medical marijuana collectives is directly responsible for eliminating the demand of low-quality Mexican brickweed from California? It's gone from California. Low-quality Mexican weed does not exist here anymore. Californians now demand quality in their cannabis, and the Mexican weed that comes into this country goes to other states now. It doesn't stay here. If you restrict safe access, a lot of marijuana is going to go straight back to the black market. It's going to go straight back to the street dealers and the gangs that are in your district, that are in everyone's district. Everyone's district. Please don't do that. Don't send these sick patients back to street dealers. Don't send them back to the street. You've seen how many people here are really sick and need this medicine. Don't send them back to the street. There's a couple other, in 1975, California decriminalized low-level pot possession. And marijuana arrest rates in this state are through the roof today. And I just want to say one more thing. There's nothing better than the feeling you get when an older person walks into the collective and breaks down crying.
Thank you, Mr. Sosa. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Walsh, followed by Kobe Lopez, followed by Cheryl Eichley.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. We have a brand new post up this morning. First of all, no ban on medical marijuana clinics, 100%. And I'm a critic of profiteering. Absolutely no ban. Okay, there's an alarming event occurring in Hollywood on Saturday. A group has rented the Vine Street Theater to show a video entitled Innocence of Bin Laden. We have no idea what this group is. We know they'll be coming from all over. because their phone number on the ad in the window, in the display case at the Vine Street on Hollywood Boulevard, 6321, gives a number in Atlanta. And that number is 678-803-2768. Now, you're saying to yourself, is this going to get any media? Because if it doesn't get any media, you're not going to go. Well, I just got a contact. I sent it out. The LA Times had no interest in this story. I'm wondering whether Devan Maharaj really understands Judaism. But I got an answer from, this is Saturday, Vine Street, 7 p.m. I got a response from City News Service. I don't know if they're Holocaust deniers, but if they're coming to Hollywood, I want every damn one of you city councilmen to be there. And if it's only this Jew, John Walsh, that comes here, you're Jewish when it's convenient to you, Mr. Garcetti. And you come and you find out, you phone that number right now. You go look at those windows and see
Mr. President, he should be directing his comments to the council as a whole.
Go on, Mr. Walsh. Mr. Walsh, just go on. No, you get your seconds
Mr.
back.
Dion Connell, you are an anti-Semite.
John, you will get your time back. Complete your statement, Mr.
Why
Walsh.
doesn't he tell you instead of him telling me? He's not. You are garbage. I got my 10 seconds. HollywoodHighlands.org. There may be anti-Semites harassing, I don't know, in Hollywood at 7 p.m. on Saturday. We'll be there. Where will you be,
Thank you, John. Thank you. Thank you. Kobe Lopez, Cheryl Eichley, followed by Tanisha Thompson.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for affording us the opportunity every meeting you guys hold here to come speak. As you know, I'm part of the medical marijuana patients organization, if you will. You've heard my stories in the past. I am a disabled veteran, father of 5 daughters. I'm a grandpa, got a grandson, wife 18 plus years. I'm not a bad person. Everybody that comes behind me, sitting behind me, they're not bad people. I mean, they don't come up here. They really don't disrespect. You might hear some anger tones or anxiety building up in their voice, but I mean, that's normal. We're here for a very passionate reason. It's coming from the heart. I mean, and it's just not passionate and coming from the heart. It's our life. I mean, we're sick. I don't know if everybody really understands, but life's short, and with the help that medical marijuana, provides to different illnesses, life doesn't have to be as short as the illness would like our life to be. I mean, look at AIDS a long time ago. Everybody was dead, like in a week it seemed? And I met some really, really, really great medical marijuana patients that suffer from AIDS, and they're awesome. Medical marijuana really changed their life. They're alive today. And I mean, if we would have made this legal medically in the 80s, I mean, what would our population of LA be today? We'd have a hell of a lot more people here, gay, straight, who cares what they are? AIDS is AIDS, it doesn't discriminate. Marijuana is marijuana, y'all shouldn't discriminate, I don't know what else to say, how to put this. I just want you to know I'm real, it's coming from my heart. Please think about it. You have the weekend. If you have any free time, jump on a computer, do a little research. Google a story about a 4-year-old cancer kid that is now alive because of medical marijuana. You'd be very, very surprised. Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. If I could have Cheryl Eichley, followed by Tanisha Thompson, Arnold Sachs, and Isaiah Van Cleef. So I want to see Tanisha, Arnold, and Isaiah.
Hello, my name is Cheryl Eichley, and I live in District 4. I don't know where Mr. Labange is today. I'm a member of Occupy Los Angeles, and today I speak for myself. In years past, I would come up and speak about medical cannabis because that's where I started my activism. But today I want to talk about another substance that's far more deviant than medical cannabis. Do you know what this is? You might think that it's just a piece of chalk, but in all reality, it's a water-soluble instrument for the First Amendment. The Supreme Court has decided that I am legally allowed under my First Amendment to use this piece of chalk on a public sidewalk to express my free speech. There's a UN report. I don't know if you guys have read it. We can get it to you if it's available. It says that local law enforcement and government have been violating the rights of occupiers. And this has been sent to Secretary Clinton. It should probably be sent to the Department of Justice. Each and every one of you and each and every one of the LAPD are sworn to uphold the Constitution. LA's current law on graffiti is unconstitutional. I know that when I was here in the encampment, there was a ruling in the Supreme Court about how you can do campaign contributions, and the Ethics Commission went through an entire process to figure out how could we update our laws so that they're constitutional in LA. We're going to have to do that with graffiti. I want to let you also know about Civil Code 52.1, which says that if anyone threatens, intimidates, or coerces me or anyone else out of our rights, whether they are state or federal, whether they are legal rights or constitutional rights, we can sue for $25,000 for each one of us that have our rights violated.
Thank you. Tanisha Thompson. Oh, in fact, before you speak, Tanisha, Ed Reyes for a real quick introduction. We have guests here.
Thank you, Councilman. I just wanted to welcome the young ladies who are participating in the beauty pageant with the Unión Guatemaltecos Emigrantes. Bienvenidos, welcome, and they are just here visiting City Hall tour, and I welcome you to the chambers, and have a great day in the tour. Thank you, and muchas gracias.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes, Tanisha Thompson, Arnold Sachs, and Isaiah Van. Isaiah, are you here? Oh, okay. Now I remember you. Tanisha, go ahead.
Hi, my name's Tanisha Thompson. I'm a registered voter, and I'm here in reflection of thousands of medical marijuana patients in the city of Los Angeles. I'm glad that the council members have gotten to see some of the faces and hear some of the stories of our cannabis community. And one of my major concerns is that overnight we are going to turn legal, innocent patients into criminals. For example, patient X has their neighborhood collective shut down randomly by random selection. They turn to street dealer Y, who is going to give them medicine that has no standards possibly, and put them in a situation where they're cooperating in an illegal transaction that could leave them vulnerable to fines and jail time if the police is around. So basically, we definitely don't need to shut down safe access to our medical community because we have allowed them to have safe access to cannabis since 1996. So shutting it down would turn patients into criminals overnight. Please consider tabling the ban on collectives so patients can have safe access to their medicine. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs, Isaiah, Mr. Herman.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Arnold Sachs. It really is going to be a sad day tomorrow when you shut down Van Nuys and San Pedro City Halls, stopping public comment from occurring at those locations. Doesn't matter if one person shows up, doesn't matter if two people show up, doesn't matter if a dog and pony show up. The obligation of the City Council is to listen to its constituents. You're setting a bar at $21,000 in expenses that you're going to save by shutting down those two locations. Well, start looking at $21,000 as your bar for the next budget cycle. It's only another less than 300 days away. Start counting $21,000 for items. Coming on time to the meetings will probably save you a good $21,000 every meeting. That's $63,000 right there. Times, what, 50 weeks, 40 weeks, 30 weeks, given the time off you take during the middle of the year and the end of the year. So why don't you look at that? It kind of reminds me of the County Board of Supervisors, and people say, oh, it's no big deal. When the county changed the rules for the public at the county meetings, where they grouped together your time, if you put in cards on items on the agenda, they have a total consent calendar. So you have 3 minutes on maybe a 50 or 60 item agenda. They deal with $22 billion budget. And the best thing about those rules they put in, they were never voted on. So when you approach the county council at the time, who left the office, by the way, and say, well, you know, they didn't vote for those rules. No comment. No comment. They didn't vote for they put them on the agenda, but they never voted on it. And so when you ask the county council, by the way, who was Andrea Orton, why they could put the rules in place and they weren't voted on, you get no answer. And what you're doing now?
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Isaiah, come on. Take your time. Followed by Mr. Herman, followed by Eddie Betts. Eddie Betts.
Good morning, Council.
Get a little closer to the mic.
Good morning, Council. My name is Isaiah Van Cleef. I am a medicinal marijuana cannabis user, and the reason I'm up here is I'm hoping that you guys would not ban but regulate, because safe access is the reason that I can function. I know for a fact without it, it hurts to just lay around, you know, so it is definitely the reason that I can function. So therefore, safe access is also the reason that I can function. I pray that you guys will take this into consideration. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
No, thank you, and it's good to see you again. Mr. Herman, followed by Eddie Betts, followed by Ryan Rice. Mr. Herman.
Fellow members of council, you hear the pleas of people who are dealing with their health and their safety, and yet what do you have to say to them? The question is, what are you going to do for them here at City Hall at this level? Furthermore, I'm here to say, when it comes to a councilman or council members whose staff inappropriately say you are not welcome on your block, you don't belong here. Why is that? Is it because such a person who can advocate on behalf of the majority is more popular than the persons who do illegal activities within our communities, who don't participate in our communities? But yet, here we have a staff member or staff members from my council district who've taken a different approach towards me, and I find it insulting, embarrassing, and humiliating when you cannot bring to the attention this problem and remedy it now. Because I believe, and I will say so today, Ms. Hilda Correa, you are not welcome in our community if your actions will continue the way you behave. I am here, and do I seem very threatening or outspoken or loud? No, I do not. I speak very adamantly, passionately, and concerned for our community. I do a lot in our community to make things not just better, but to resolve issues that go on and prolong forever. The SOTA corridor is an issue. Is that irrelevant? The issue on dispensaries, is that irrelevant? People need these dispensaries for their health. And more so, what about our public schools, such as Roosevelt High School, that has been so outrageously failed our community in the way it takes action.
Thank
so please hear our
Thank you,
concerns
Mr.
and
Herman.
address
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Garcetti. Mr. Garcetti. The gentleman that you're with, does he have a name? Because I don't want to keep him waiting. If you could just come forward, you will follow Ryan Rice. So, Eddie, we have. In fact, Mr. Betts, do you mind if I allow him to go first? Thank you. And then, Ryan, is that you? Appreciate it, guys. Go on, sir.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the City Council. My name is Lee Glaze. I live at 1602 Ivar Avenue, which Councilperson Garcetti was gracious in assisting in getting it for us. There's a parking lot and a sidewalk adjacent to that building. Now, I don't know if the parking lot is privately owned, but the sidewalk is city property. The other day, I was late for an interview with the producer on my life, as a matter of fact, as an activist and in general hellraiser, which I'm going to see about getting Erica part of the movie. But at any rate, I was cutting through the parking lot, and a car was coming in, which forced me to go to the left. There is a hole about so big by so big by so deep, which caused my wheelchair to go forward. I lunged forward, broke the control on my wheelchair, and hurt my already damaged back, which was occurred in Selma, Alabama in 1965, which some of you know, some of you don't. And at any rate, that's just not acceptable. I want that sucker either fixed or ripped out and redone, you know, because it's a danger. There was a lady that lives in our building. I have no idea how old she is, but anyway, she's quite old. And she tripped in the darn thing recently. Now, that's just not acceptable. Now, that was another thing. The building and the management, that's over with the sidewalk. But anyway, the building and their infinite wisdom is that management wants to rip out the palm trees, the mature palm trees adjacent to our building, which is ludicrous. So I don't know if they have a permit or not, but I'd sure like your assistance in stopping that. And there's another thing. There's a gentleman back here that wants my aid in soliciting the assistance of medical marijuana dispersion. I use it myself to hopefully ease the pain in my lower back. It doesn't help. But at any rate, if I had one right now, I'd light it up. But at any rate, that's beside the point. But I would sure like your assistance. I did that for you. So at any rate, there you go.
Thank you, Mr. Glaze. Thank you. Eddie Betts, Ryan Rice, Emma Goldman. Eddie.
Hi. Today, I and some participants of Occupy Los Angeles are here in the facade of democracy to expose the increasingly fascist tendencies of the city of Los Angeles. The events that unfolded yesterday morning illustrate the repressive nature of the LAPD and those who command them. Our comrades were arrested for using chalk on the sidewalk. Absurd. Arrested for chalking political messages around the Sheraton Hotel. As we picketed a luncheon held by the Central City Association, the only conclusion we can draw from yesterday's events is that the LAPD is incompetent, corrupt, and a modern example of fascism in our society, in our city. There was a Ninth Circuit Court of Appeal decision in 1995 called McKinney versus Nielsen that clearly stated that, quote, no chalk would damage the sidewalk. It is illegal to be arrested for using chalk on the sidewalk. Yet, since the commencement of siege on the CCA, the Central City Association, the LAPD, with the help of the CCA's private security, have made 11 arrests so far, despite being informed of these facts by Carol Sobel, attorney, on June 4th. Clearly, for them, it is more important to make arrests than allow for the people to stand up for their rights, in addition to the already blatant racist, sexist, homophobic, and patriarchal behavior. The city of Orlando just lost a court case over chalking. The city attempted to prosecute an occupier for chalking, and it cost the taxpayers $200,000. Are you prepared to do that? The victim was awarded $6,000. We have an activist who has been arrested 5 times for alleged chalking. Is the city of Los Angeles prepared to hand out $30,000 in compensation when you lose this case? How will you explain that?
Thank you, Mr. Betts. Thank you. Thank you. Ryan Rice, Emma Goldman, and Nestor Mako.
My name is Ryan Rice. I live at the sidewalk on 626 Wilshire in front of the Central City Association. I'm going to continue where Eddie left off. How will you explain that to your constituency, losing all this money over chalking? We have several eyewitnesses that state when the pigs in blue approached the scene, they went straight to the purple shirts, the privatized arm of security in Los Angeles, to ask who they should arrest. Why is this unacceptable, you might ask? For an arrest to be considered lawful, there must be probable cause. They need evidence that a crime had been committed, and the precedent set by McKinney versus Nielsen clearly articulates that there is no probable cause and there is therefore no crime. Is it possible then that the copper tops don't know how to go about attaining probable cause and therefore arrest people illegally? Well, how about the residents of Compton, Inglewood, Watts, and other communities that are illegally arrested daily? The incompetence that was demonstrated in yesterday's incidents is not new, but is nevertheless appalling. An officer who does not know the basics of arrest should be immediately fired due to inept job performance. The events of yesterday integrate seamlessly with the definition of fascism provided by Benito Mussolini. He stated that, quote, fascism should more appropriately be called corporatism because it is a merger of state and corporate power. Our education system is rather poor, so for those of you who do not know, Benito Mussolini was the fascist dictator of Italy in the 1930s while Hitler was in power in Germany. In this instance, the piggies, or the state, show up at the scene and take direction from these purple shirts, the private security company that protects corporate interests like Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, etc. The state then snatches the voices of protest. There was no crime committed, and yet the copper tops still went over to their corporate counterparts and asked them who to deal with. Even more disturbing is that the purple shirts are not even sworn to uphold any sort of law, but instead only look out for what is good for their employer, the corporation. Why would the armed terrorists, aka the LAPD, listen so unquestioningly to someone who has no power than any other normal citizen? When questioned about the accoutrements of the district safety ambassadors, we are further troubled. Why do you wear batons? The man in purple answered for show. Show of what?
Thank you, Mr. Rice. Emma Goldman and Nestor Mako. You can pass that to the sergeants. Sergeants, if you would get that from that gentleman. Emma Goldman and Nestor Mako.
I am Nestor Machno, but however, Emma Goldman has ceded her time to me, so I will be speaking for both.
No, you'll be speaking for your 2 minutes. We don't cede time.
Okay,
so you
fine.
speak for your 2 minutes.
I'll take off where Ryan left off. Show of false authority or intimidation of aggressive enforcement of anti-homelessness sentiment meant to instill fear because private security cannot yet use batons on Angelenos. Do you want the rest of Los Angeles to start carrying batons? Is that anything short of a localized manifestation of mutually assured destruction? Let's return to another tenet of fascism, namely the regular and aggressive suppression of dissenting political voices. Let's attempt to articulate this in another way. Would a 7 or 8-year-old child be arrested for drawing or writing with chalk on a sidewalk? Of course not. That's absurd. I'm sure many people in this very room can remember drawing on sidewalks themselves as a child. Were you, while you were doodling stick figures, did you ever fear arrest? Again, preposterous. What makes this situation different than the one with 4 arrests as a result that happened yesterday? Political message. The principle of silencing dissent to protect corporate interests. We were and still are protesting the Central City Association, the largest corporate lobby group in Los Angeles. Mussolini would be ecstatic at such an effortless merger. Let us speculate for a moment that the copper tops perpetrating the arrest knew that chalking was legal and is inconsequential regardless. However, let's entertain the notion they had some idea. This would be breaking the law intentionally for the sake of another group of people, the corporation. This is the very definition of corruption. The working class, people of color, and minority groups around Los Angeles have dealt with this corruption within the LA Pigs Department for a long time. This is just one of the instances illustrating the pervasiveness of this corruption. Can we agree that no one is above the law? Yes? Well, let's see this being put into action. Stop the selective enforcement. Stop the harassment. And put an end to the overarching...
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Your time has expired. Okay. We're going to quickly, Madam Clerk, quickly switch to item 17. I'll get back to general public comment. On item 17, we have one public comment card from Mr. John Walsh, HollywoodHighland.org. Mr. Walsh, you still around? Yes, he is. Take your time, Mr. Walsh. Yes, sir.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org, as you said. See our new our new post today. You're doing a good job. You're much, much better than Eric. Believe me. You get an A. Eric gets a D+ running these meetings. This is number 17. These are REAP, as I've said. Many people here, and I would say that the reason I live in Hollywood are 2 reasons. The weather in LA and rent control. And you've been doing a good job, and I would say the father of rent control is Mayor Bradley. After that, if it hadn't been for Bradley, we wouldn't have got rent control. This concerns bad landlords. Hollywood, and you've been doing a good job attacking bad landlords and getting to do the right thing. HollywoodHighlands.org. Saturday, are the neo-Nazis coming to Hollywood?
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Okay, no speakers on the queue. Let us open the roll, Madam Clerk. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Okay, I'd now like to move to the Valley, where we have two speakers, Wayne Kotersky and Sharon Brewer. If we could go right ahead.
We're back in public comment?
Yes.
Okay. Today's the last day. The last day that the Valley will be heard. And this is good, because finally we all owe it to King Herb I, Herb Wesson, the king, has declared what we've all known for a long time, that the San Fernando Valley is an ATM. You have no representation as a homeowner. You have no representation as a business owner. You have no right to vote. Your local neighborhood councils are robbed of funds and rushed into elections that don't exist. So, what are the people supposed to do? The former police chief, Eric Bratton, he said on radio about the Special Order 40, and a guy says, I don't like it, and he says, well, if you don't like it, leave the state. Well, let's substitute the word state for the San Fernando Valley. So I was in an escrow, and on Tuesday, the greatest thing happened that could have happened. My car got towed away. They switched the signs overnight without any authority. So I had to pay $388, 2 tickets to get the car back. That is the Los Angeles city I live in today. This is not the Los Angeles city I came to 30 years ago. So the only thing you can do is do what Mr. Bratton said, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Everybody needs to move to Ventura County. Take everything, your businesses, your jobs, your children out of these LAUSD schools and move the hell out of LA City and out of LA County. That's the answer.
Thank you. Ms. Brewer? Ms. Brewer?
Hi, Sharon Brewer, public comment 1215. By the way, I've been in Van Nuys since 9:40 a.m. I want to repeat that there is possibly $134,982 of funds allotted to Dunn for the 2012 Neighborhood Council elections. Half of the money for 4 project coordinators full-time for fiscal year 2012 to 2013. The elections are only from July to December 2012, 6 months, not 1 year. That money could be used to keep remote testimony from Van Nuys City Hall for the fiscal year 2012 to 2013. I feel that if the city council meetings were run more efficiently, no reflection on council president, and the same way every meeting as the agenda is written, more people might come to do remote testimony if they knew they didn't have to spend hours waiting to speak. I'd like to go and do a public adjourning motion for the death of 6.5-year-old remote testimony from Van Nuys City Hall, born November 22nd, 2005, to help the constituents from the San Fernando Valley communicate with city council members without having to drive downtown. On May 21st, 2012, remote testimony from Van Nuys City Hall died at the hands of 11 city council members, including 5 CD2, 3, 5, 6, and 12 council members from the San Fernando Valley, over less than $11,000 a year. Again, since this is the last day, it's going to be really hard to go and come downtown, to go and try to let the council members know what's going on with different items. Maybe they can.
The disabled people.
Maybe the city can come up with them
Thank you.
money.
Thank you. Thank you. If we could now. if we could now return to City Hall for Jessica Hardy, Castro Garcia, and Heidi, I apologize, I always mess up your last name. Please come forward. If you're first, you're first.
Good morning, City Council. I first just want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you today. My name is Jessica Hardy. I'm 20 years old and a resident of Los Angeles. I moved out here about 7 months ago from a very small town in Illinois. There's tons of different reasons as to why I moved out here. The main reason being because marijuana is legal for medicinal purposes. Where I'm from, cannabis is totally illegal. No one has access to medicinal marijuana, and anyone caught with any amount of cannabis is arrested regardless of their reason for possession. So I do want to thank you for allowing us to have safe access to medicinal marijuana. When I was 15 years old, I had my first panic attack. After having a few attacks, I found out I have an anxiety disorder. I tried tons of different pharmacy medication, all of which did not work. Some made the anxiety worse, and some just made me depressed and caused me to lose my appetite and not eat anything. After I was prescribed a Xanax, a pharmacy medication used to treat anxiety, also one of the most abused pharmacy drugs, I decided that these pharmacy drugs were hurting me more than they were helping me. I decided to turn to self-medication. The benefits I got from marijuana were tremendous. The panic attacks stopped, and I've been able to keep my anxiety under control while still living a normal life. The disorder I have is just one of the many conditions that can be treated with medicinal marijuana. I'm here to ask that you oppose any and all bans against collectives. I am a medicinal marijuana patient, and my dream is to help patients who are sick and can benefit from medicinal marijuana in any way that I possibly can. There are thousands of patients that benefit from cannabis, but there are millions that don't know that they can benefit from it. And there are billions that are denied safe access to medicinal marijuana. Please do not take this away from us. Tons of sick patients need medicinal marijuana.
Thank you. Thank you. Do we have Castro Garcia? Okay. See, I almost put Heidi in front of you. I didn't see you. All right, go ahead.
Hi, good morning. Just want to make some points clear. Nobody has ever died from marijuana. Nobody. In the history, nobody has ever died. 2, let's tax it and regulate it. As a business, we can bring in revenue. We need the money. We need money so we can pay your pensions and retirement. We need that money. So please help us regulate it and tax it. 3, let's be honest. It's time. Let's be forward. Let's step forward. If not, let's just put this in the back burner so we won't have to take up your time anymore. Just let's put some foot forward. There's people in here that have the common sense that we make change for everybody. Make LA a modern city. Make more profit. There's nothing coming into LA that bring profit right now. Let's not kill the only thing that could make revenue. Please think about it. Just take the time. There's plenty of time yet. We can get here. We can keep coming every day and asking you. Just asking you to regulate and tax. That's all it is. Forget a ban. It's not going to go away. It is not going away. It's just going to get bigger, and more people are going to get more interested. Because we need the revenue. You need the money. Let's be honest. Thank you.
Yes, please.
Hi, my name's Heidi Ewer. I mentioned Tuesday that I get migraines, and they are really, really bad. They put me to bed and get me nauseated and pound. But marijuana helped that, the medical marijuana. And there are so many people that need it out there that are having it, and it'll just leave them out on, getting it, like they say, from the street or whatever. And there's also a notion out there that it's just a whole lot of young people that want to get high. That's why the dispensaries are there. But I'm 60 years old. I can testify that that's not the case at all. Just being youth doesn't guarantee health. I just want to ask you to please don't ban medical marijuana because there are those of us who really, really need it. Thank you.
Thank you. That is our last general public comment card. At this time, Madam Clerk, I want to recess the regular council meeting and go to the special meeting. Would you please call the roll?
Alarcon, Buscaino, Cardenas, Englander, Garcetti, Weezer, Carrasco, Corrigan, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Zion, Wesson, Timmer is present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you.
First item is item 33, which is an item for which public hearing has been held.
Okay, so on item 33, members, are there any cards on 33?
A public hearing has been held.
Public comment has been satisfied. Are there any comments by the members? Seeing none, let's on that item open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
That should bring us to item 34.
Yes, items 34 through 36 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes required for consideration.
Without objection. Mr. Walsh, HollywoodHighland.org. Mr. John Walsh.
Mr. President, an amending motion has been circulated for item 35.
Okay.
John Walsh, new blog up today, double blog, Mickey Jackson also. I know it seems like the same meeting, but this is a brand new meeting. Item 34, and this concerns opportunities with people, PWAs, people with AIDS. You're doing an excellent job on this. Remember, when you do a good job, I say you do a good job. I'm not one of those guys, hey, you're all a bunch of crooks. I could do a better job. You know, I'm not one of those people. That's why I don't appear on the front page of the LA Times, because they don't put people on the front page of the LA Times that's been a teacher for a quarter of a century who taught in the Peace Corps. I don't get it on. And that's what, and I'm going to finish my minute by saying, I hope you've read Ron K. LA. They have a Mr. Wesson, because he has a glowing column on you the other day. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Thank you. Okay, on that item, let us, Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Okay, if we could send super forthwith 33 and 34. Madam Clerk, I'd like to now go to item 36.
Mr. President, Council should vote to suspend the rules for items 33 and 34.
Okay, so on those items, let's, this vote will be for suspending the rules. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Okay, the rules were suspended. Now if we could go to item 36. Dr. K. Song, Irene Hong, John Walsh. Mr. Walsh passes.
Dr. K-Song had to go to her next meeting, so she just left. So I'm going to be speaking on behalf of Dr. K-Song, and my name is Irene Hong.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Go right ahead.
Yes. I would like to read our board member's letter. Dear Honorable Council President Harv Wesson and members, on behalf of the board of directors of the Korean American Museum, would like to extend my sincere thanks to the Los Angeles City Council for its generous and continued effort to secure for the museum a long-term lease of City Control Lot number 692 at 601 South Vermont Avenue, located on the corner of Vermont Avenue and 6th Street in the heart of Koreatown. Lot number 692 would serve as the ideal site for the new permanent home of the Korean American Museum. The Korean American Museum was founded in 1991 to plan and operate the nation's first and only national institution devoted to preserving, studying, and presenting the Korean American community's cultural heritage. Since that time, the museum has been mounting a regular schedule of exhibitions, workshops, readings, performances, and other programs that tell the story of the Korean American community. America is home to more than 1.7 million Korean Americans, and Los Angeles is home to the largest and fastest growing Korean American community in the country. In fact, California was the site of first wave of immigration from Korea, and the Korean American community has roots in Los Angeles existing back over 100 years, with churches and cultural organizations dating back to the early 1900s. This is great need for a space in Koreatown dedicated exclusively.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry you had to wait, but thank you so very much. Mr. Garcetti. Mr. Garcetti.
Thank you. I just want, Mr. President, the maker of this motion, I want to thank you for this and thank you for including me. And the museum, I know, has been a dream of the community for a long time. And certainly we have the full support. This is a great Korean city, Los Angeles, one of the greatest. I remember going to the Blue House and meeting with the president of Korea in 2002, and he practically knew more about LA than we did because it's such an important town. And it is time for us to be able to showcase that under your leadership. Appreciate what you are doing for the community, and thank you for including me.
Thank you, Mr. Garcetti. Mr. Rosendahl.
Yes, Mr. President. I seconded immediately when you presented it to me for that same obvious reason. It's the classy thing to do, and it makes it more convenient and more acceptable to everybody in the community. And thank you for your leadership on that.
No, thank you for your support. So with that said, members, item 36, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Okay, Madam Clerk, forthwith on that item. That should now bring us to 35.
Yes, Mr. President.
And that's called special by card. Mr. Walsh, do you want to speak on this one? If so, come forward. Mr. Sachs and Mr. Herman. So it's Mr. Walsh, Mr. Sachs, and Mr. Herman. HollywoodHighland.org.
Took the words right out of my mouth. Brand new blog today. You know, the first time, 1971, that's the first meeting I went to. No gray hair. I was the youngest person at the CRA meeting in Berkeley. I never thought I'd outlive the CRA. The Berlin Wall and the CRA and the Cold War, I never thought I'd outlive. But the important thing here about the CRA that's only appeared in one story since it was passed the other day is we now, and it's bad news for the city, we now have a system of fining the city. Now here you don't run the son of the CRA, the Death Star version of the CRA. Others run it. But in the rest of the state, and when the cities do not pay up the amount of money that the State Department of Finance says is owed from the CRA to the cities, to the state, and then down to the counties and to education. That's where the losers are, education and the counties. There will be, you can read the story, a $10,000 a day fine against any city that doesn't pay up. It's in the media now, not in L.A., but I found it on the Flash report. The story there's a very good for a rundown. So what I'm saying now is to the CRA, we have put 11 stakes through your heart, and this one, the $10,000 a day that the cities in the state of California will have to pay for holding back money that belongs not at the CRA, which owes $100 billion. It goes right to where it belongs, HollywoodHighlands.org.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Mr. Sachs, obviously you forfeit your right to speak. Mr. Herman, it's you. Go up. Mr. Herman, you're speaking. Mr. Sachs is not speaking.
I heard you, Mr. President. Thank you. in regards to what everyone will speak about with the CRA, it's very true. They are ineffective, waste, and use of bad taxpayers' money. How? Take, for example, in Boyle Heights on Cesar E. Chavez Avenue. Money was allocated for infrastructure repairs. Not one dime went into that infrastructure. And I still wait to see who the next council member will be to repair Cesar E. Chavez and improve the community so it will enhance not just Boyle Heights, but enhance and improve what the city of Los Angeles is trying to build. So I say to you, Mr. Wesson, when will you take an action against the CRA and have them pay for those deficits and those misused funds that were allocated into our community of Boyle Heights, or as they say, Council District 14? I hold you accountable, Council District 14, for the slow action, not taking action, and refusing to get the CRA to pay us back for the money they lost in administrative waste. And so I hold you accountable, Los Angeles, to bring in the district attorney's office and investigate further as to why the monies that were allocated in Boyle Heights, East Los Angeles, El Sereno, Lincoln Heights, however which way, Eagle Rock you want to go about it, and I say to you in a question, find out why you did not spend the money in our area and wasted it after all these years that the CRA has invested its time and its purpose here in Los Angeles. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Sachs, I call you, you don't come up. Next time, when I call your name, you come up. We're not going to go back and forth. It's the respectful thing to do to this council. You don't have to respect me. You have to respect this council, and you don't make the rules here. There's no speakers on the queue. Members, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Okay, are we
That's
finished
adopted
with the
as amended.
special meeting?
Yes, Mr. President, that was the last.
Okay, so, Mr. Krikorian?
Mr. President, just to clarify that was as amended, and we'd like it to be forthwith, please.
Okay, forthwith. Now I think the appropriate thing to do would be to adjourn this meeting and return to the recessed council meeting. And with that said, Madam Clerk, that would bring us where?
Items called special, item 12, called special for cards.
Mr. Walsh. Mr. Herman. Mr. Herman twice. John, you want to speak on this? Pass. Mr. Herman. Mr. Herman? Okay, Mr. Herman wishes to pass as well. Okay, on this item, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
What's
That
next?
ordinance will be held over for 1 week, until after council recess, July 24th.
Okay, Mr. Kretz, I want to skip over 14. It's my understanding you had some questions or something. So what would be the next item we'd have to take up? Is it 18?
Yes, Mr. President.
Okay, Mr. Sachs, if you want to speak, now's your time to come see it. Come speak. Come on. Come speak on item 18.
I'm just trying to get us clarification. I was
Come
standing here to
speak on item 18. When you come here the next time, look, stop. Let me tell you. When I call your name, stop this, hold this time. When I call you, you come forward. If you don't, you forfeit your turn. It's not the first time that I said that. I don't have a problem with you wanting to saunter down the aisle, but I don't have time for that. So when I call you, I call 3 people at a time. Everybody else does that but you. So with that said, now we're on item 18. Speak to item 18.
Item 18 is referring to the groundwater. So I was just curious to know A and B with this. Do they pay taxes in this community? Is this a taxable item for the DWP to pay property taxes in the Owens Lake community? Because in LA, they don't pay property taxes. There's a transfer. So I'm wondering, based on the fact that the last transfer was $7 million less than the previous year and the budget the situation the city was in, would it be prudent to have the DWP pay its property taxes in lieu of making a transfer? Or maybe the public would be entitled to know about that. Just out of curiosity. And I guess that's it.
Thank you. Okay, on this item, no speakers in the queue. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Okay, then let's go to item 20, called special by John Walsh and Mr. Herman. Mr. Walsh, followed by Mr. Herman.
John Walsh, new post out today. This is about a sinkhole. A sinkhole is a major problem. It means someone really screwed up at DWP. And I'm a great fan of DWP. It's socialized. Remember, DWP is socialized. Go up to San Francisco and find out how much they pay for the same water and power compared to what we pay down here, where they have private enterprise. But something happened here. You were able to cover this story up somewhat. The city engineer, relative to a sinkhole located near the intersection of Colorado and Figueroa. Now you're going to have to, how much money it's going to cost the sinkhole? And remember, 15 years ago, I predicted it would be a major disaster at MTA. And there was a major disaster exactly where I said it would be, across the street from Los Feliz School. And what was it? It was a sinkhole, and it ended up on 60 Minutes, the actual sinkhole forming. HollywoodHighlands.org. I want a report. I think people will know, what is the chances of sinkholes? How many sinkholes have we had? A sinkhole is a major disaster. And it's just, if I didn't speak, no one would speak on this sinkhole issue. Thank you. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Mr. Herman?
If a sinkhole is as urgent to repair, then why can't we repair a corridor on Soto Street, although it's off subject? And I'll redirect myself. Mr. Walsh is correct. If you know there are problems with sewer and maintenance, maintenance should be the most important thing the city should act upon, not wait upon for more erosion, destruction, and collapse and failure. So get on gear, DWP, and put your engineers to work and work this situation out. Not tomorrow, not later, but soon. Please hold my time.
Thank you. Okay, members, there are no speakers in the queue. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Mr. Huizar.
Thank you, Mr. President. Can I send that super duper forthwith, please?
Why not? Okay. In order to do that, Mr. Huizar, we have to suspend the rules. So we'll do it. No, we'll do it. It's not going to do any. Anyway, Mr. Huizar is settling for forthwith. Okay. Mr. Sachs, come up on item 23.
Yes, item 23 refers to an easement for street and sidewalk purposes on property lying on Sunny Slope Avenue and Fulton Avenue. And it's pretty amazing with the problems you have with the sidewalk purposes. Who will be responsible ultimately with repairing and the upkeep of the sidewalks there? You have on your agenda assessment fees for sidewalks. On Wednesday's agenda, you had $500,000 in AB 1290 funds directed for repairing broken sidewalks in Council District 7. We heard about 2 months ago when you had the Walmart fiasco in front of the council that nobody seemed to know about. Poor Councilman Reyes decried the fact that he had no money for sidewalk repair in his district, although here Councilman Buscaino came up with $500,000 for sidewalk repair. So the ultimate question is who's responsible for the sidewalks and the funding and the money that will be involved? And maybe you plant trees there, so the trees break the sidewalk up. Who's responsible there? And maybe the trees grow to be 60 feet tall, but there's nobody to trim the trees, so who's responsible there? What about the AB 1290 funds again? Why is that not being used? The different varieties of funds that the City Council has available for the pet projects. Shouldn't there be a listing of those different funds available to the public so that the public has an idea of what's available for their use as constituents for the areas in their city, of the city that they live in, for the repairs and the upkeep to keep their neighborhoods livable?
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Okay, members, on this item, let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 eyes.
Okay, members, Madam Clerk, let me know if this is okay. Every item that we voted on today will be sent, every item other than the super forthwiths will be sent forthwith, okay? Now, Mr. Krikorian, can we take up item 30 at this time?
Thank you, Mr. President. We can. This is a very significant settlement of traffic accident case. Was considered at great length in Budget and Finance, and the recommendation of the committee is to approve the recommendations. If there are questions that members have that need to be considered in closed session, we may do so. Otherwise, it's appropriate to support the recommendations in open session.
Okay. With that said, based on our chairman's recommendations, Madam Clerk, open the roll.
Excuse me, Mr. President.
You have to read it.
Yes, the recommendation is to authorize the city attorney to expend a total of $6,600,000 in settlement for the case entitled The Estate of Giovanna Lugo versus the City of Los Angeles.
Okay, let's, on this item, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 eyes.
Let's go to item, Mr. Koretz, how long do you need on your item?
Probably about 2 minutes.
Okay, let's go to item 14. Okay, item 14. Okay, so we've got cards on item 14, Mr. Koretz, and I just checked my notes. We did not have a public hearing, so I have two cards on that item, and I'd like to call Mr. Herman up. And is it Brad Hauser? Okay, so if I could call Mr. Herman and Brad Hauser up on item 14.
Yes, council members, we've heard about failure of potholes, and now in this discussion we're talking about sidewalk maintenance. Throughout the city of Los Angeles, there are many issues in regards to sidewalks, and I would really like to see the city of Los Angeles take an action to improve the infrastructure of the majority of sidewalks in our city to make them safe for people with ADA issues. The American Disability Act says we should have safe access on our city sidewalks, our city parks, our city functions, and even here at City Hall. So I encourage that these sidewalks, whether it's in Westwood, Boyle Heights, and the city of Los Angeles, get repaired soon with the fundings that are funded through the state and federal mandates for compliance. Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker, Brad Hauser.
Thank you. I saw this going on I guess, community access television earlier today, and I took a taxi to come here. I was quite excited, and so I appreciate spending your time, opening it up to the community. It's very, I think, a good process and very transparent. I have some monies I want to give to the city from some of my legal assets of whistleblower cases. And so I think I can give you guys a new source of found capital of approximately $80 million from what Lacers and the head attorney there, Alan.
Mr. President, he does not appear to be talking about item number 14.
Well, it's budget related because I agree. Let me take a step back. What is the best outcome to minimize these problems like these sidewalks, which that gentleman had no new solution for that was going to yield any value to all of your valuable time? And so I believe if I can help solve some of these problems with some of the monies that will go into the budget that you guys can then deploy more creatively, that seems like the only way to really get ahead. Otherwise, you just kind of tread water. That guy is the next 10 talking about sidewalks of this tiny item is just going to basically yield, good results, but not the breakthrough that you guys want to add more jobs or create.
Thank you, sir. Want to finish that sentence? Okay, thank you very much. Just finish the sentence.
I would just
Mr.
request
President,
a legal...
as long as he's off topic, he really shouldn't finish
a
that
legal
sentence.
liaison.
Okay, thank you very much.
I would just request a legal...
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. Our next item, seeing no one. Oh, we have someone on the queue. Councilman Koretz.
The reason I brought this item forward is that in November of 2010, a discussion began regarding the Westwood Sidewalk Maintenance District and the failures of the current contractor to properly clean and maintain Westwood sidewalks and the ability to contract this function to the Westwood bid. In April of 2011, the Westwood bid was approved and the formal request to contract with them for this service was issued. Despite assurances that this project and process would take weeks to be done, this was April of 2011, it was not concluded until February 27th at the Board of Public Works when they approved the action to contract with the bid. In doing so, the board apologized for the delay and directed staff to execute the contract expeditiously, and yet it is still not complete 4 months later. So it's now been 14 months in which we have an incompetent contractor, which we've been trying to transfer to the bid, and still has not happened. We have asked in preparing for this item that building and safety staff be prepared to give us a status update. We were told in that process this would take until the end of July. This is not acceptable. This has been taking forever, and there's no good reason for it. We are assessing businesses for this service. The existing contractor has been providing a low level of service for years, and the bid wants to actually do the right work for the same amount of money. To allow this to go on any further and continue to be wasting the money of our taxpayers who are being assessed for this, 14 months is long enough already. So I want to ask the Bureau, which we asked to be here, and hopefully someone is here from the Bureau to explain how they're going to correct this issue. And if you are here from the Bureau,
yes,
can you explain that?
Good afternoon, Dennis Rogers, Street Services. We were not informed when they were starting the bid. We were not asked to do a contract until after the bid had been formed.
Sir,
There
please
was-
just come into the center table.
Not sure, but regardless, we have the emails from April
Thank you, sir.
of 2011, which is still 14 months ago.
Yeah, so I don't believe that's necessarily true, but we do have emails from April of 2011. It's been 14 months. What I'd really like to do is, if there's no explanation why even the 4 months has been taken, I'd like to direct the Bureau to come back on the meeting this coming Tuesday with a correction to this contract.
So
It's been waiting
continue the
4
item?
months. It's been waiting actually a total of 14 months. It's not acceptable. So
we'd like to continue the item for.
I'd like to continue the item until Tuesday with the direction that the Bureau be prepared to move forward on this item at that
Okay.
time.
And that'll be the direction?
May I make a request? There's a reason for this.
Please. Well, Councilman Corretz, are we done?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, we're done. Okay.
Well, I'll let him.
you would like to speak? All right, please go ahead.
More than happy to meet with you, more than happy to come back.
Please speak into the microphone.
I'm sorry, more than happy to meet with you, more than happy to come back. If this gets delayed, though, the assessment could be affected because this is just the assessment. What you're voting on right now is to have the hearing in I think it's on the 25th or 27th. If we miss that time frame, then we won't be able to put these on the county tax assessor's roll, and the assessments won't go on the roll.
So it's time sensitive.
Yes, it's totally apart from the contract, and we'll meet with you and discuss it and come back, but this should not be delayed, or you're going to hurt it, because we could get the contract out, but you won't be able to collect the money through the assessment process if we delay this.
Councilor Corretz, what is your wish?
My understanding is that hearing what kind of progress they've made by Tuesday should not delay any of the dates.
Okay.
So I would ask them to come back on Tuesday and let us know what progress has been made.
And you don't want to move on the assessment?
So we'll ask that they come back on Tuesday.
Okay, so no action today?
No.
No action today?
No, I guess we'll just continue it to Tuesday and ask that they come back with and tell us what progress has been made at that time.
Okay, to be very clear. Okay, thank you very much.
Mr. President, for the record, that's till July 3rd.
July 3rd. All right. So we'll continue that item till July 3rd. Thank you, Councilman Corretz. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Item 26, call special for cards.
Okay, we do have several cards on this item.
So again, we did continue that item, correct? Because I wanted to see if Mr. Reyes did a super duper forthwith, and obviously he did not. So on item 26, I'm going to go to the Valley first, Mr. Walsh. Wayne Kotersky, Marion Fogler, and Donna Pearman.
Neighborhood council. So our neighborhood councils, again, moving money, moving elections. And one of the things, again, this illustrates is, well, why do we have to have neighborhood councils? Why do we have to have these neighborhood councils with all this anarchy? There's different elections, and there's these boards. Some of these boards, like the one in Encino, had expired and actually voted itself in indefinitely until their replacements are given their new titles. They're given $50,000 each. And yet, over here, to do these meetings for the year, they don't want to give the $20,000 a year. So today's the last day to be heard from the Valley. But again, what this really illustrates is the broken city that we live in. Yes, somebody mentioned about the dictators. Well, not officially de jure dictators, but de facto dictators have taken over in not just the city council, but in these neighborhood councils. They are only advisory. And when it comes to commercial developments,
Mr. President, he does not appear to be talking
don't want
about
to
this
take an
item.
opinion.
Just stay on the item, Wayne.
Well, the city attorney is making a good point, and that is that there is no right to speak. Every word cannot be made except what he wants. And
Stick to the item. The city attorney is not on the agenda.
The city attorney silences
Okay, your
debate.
time is, who's the next speaker out there? Is it Marion?
Yes, Marilyn
Okay,
Fogler.
Ms. Fogler?
You discriminate against the disabled,
No, you
making us
speak to
travel
the
17
item.
miles.
Speak to this item, Ms. Fogler. You know that.
I'm going to be everywhere. I'm not just disabled everywhere. I'm going to make it hard for you people. You're going to resign from your jobs because you're going to be
Speak to this item. You're off topic,
You
and
are
you know
against
it.
the disabled.
Thank you. Thank you. Who's the next speaker?
Perlman.
Okay, Donna Pearman. Or should I have let Mr. Garcetti call your name? Donna Pearman. Donna Pearman. Donna Pearman. Ms. Fogler, it's Donna's turn.
I'll speak. I'll finish.
No, you can't
statement
speak
here
now.
That the neighborhood
No, it's
councils
okay, Ms. Fogler, you're done. And if you, Ms. Pearman, if you want to speak, you need to come to the microphone right now. Okay, it looks like Ms. Pearman's going to forfeit her time as well.
I'm here.
Ms.
I'm here.
Okay, then go on.
Okay, I was just going to say I was going to speak on that to talk about how you shouldn't give extra money to the neighborhood council, which actually I don't think you should give extra money to the neighborhood council because that's not fair to all the neighborhood councils. But really I don't care anymore because you're going to do what you want. You shut down the disabled access to the valley. You're shutting us down. Our city and our mayor and city council does not care about us or the valley. So ruin LA, who cares? Chapter 13, go bankrupt.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, Mr. John Walsh, Mr. Arnold Sachs, and Mr. Herman.
John Walsh. Don't forget Walsh Archive at HollywoodHighlands.org. You know, I was around with the public meetings that went on for quite some time about setting up neighborhood councils. There are minuses to neighborhood councils. There are pluses. But not a single one of the neighborhood councils do the minuses add up to more than the pluses. Even if it's a poor neighborhood council, it's doing a good job because you don't want it there. It's somebody looking over your shoulder. And sometimes people get in. It's democracy. The wrong people get in. That's democracy. Take a look at Egypt. The wrong people got in after 7,000 years, but it's democracy. I'm sorry. And I'd like to point out on this issue of Hollywood beautification, 13th District beautification, I'd like to ask, I hope you have seen at Vine Street the gigantic billboard on the building between between Hollywood Boulevard and Sunset, the Bed Bath & Beyond building. This building has a picture, beautification of Hollywood, Eric's house, of Mark Wahlberg in a urinal urinating. This is a man who wouldn't let me say play with myself here, the mayor. So come to Hollywood and take a look at Mark Wahlberg's yellow stream. It's not pretty.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs, followed by Mr. Herman.
I don't want to be. Do you get a second violation of improper lining up? I mean, I'm wondering. Another city fund. But the part here is Clean and Connected Communities grants. Well, if you disconnect the valley opportunity, and I'm wondering if other districts have the Clean and Connected Communities grants, other council districts. If you disconnect the valley from city conferencing, how will they stay connected? How do they stay connected if you cut the video feed from the valley? And it's
On the item.
Clean and connected communities. I'm talking about being connected here, sir. Stay connected. It says here, doesn't mention any amount of money being transferred. You know, you had an item on your agenda a couple of months ago about $207 for street furniture that you were itemizing. But there's no amount of money here. I think this is a really good idea, though, that at the end of the fiscal year, you should have a balance of every city council funding resource that will be rolled over until the new fiscal year. The public should be aware of it, like AB 1290, like street furniture, like bus bench revenue.
Does not appear to be talking about this item.
I am talking about...
Arnold, just get back to the item. You'll be okay. Stay
You're
on
talking
this item.
about transferring unspent funds from one council, from one fund to another. And I'm asking about unspent funds in other accounts. And I think that it would be very beneficial to the public, because we've heard several councilmen complain that they don't have the funding to do jobs in their
Thank you. Mr. Herman, followed by, I believe it's Brad Hauser.
Are we accountable for the support of funds? Are we accountable? That's the question. Because Eric Garcetti, this is in your district. And as Mr. Steve Sachs pointed out, how can we know how much money, Arnold Sachs, thank you, how much money is being allocated, used, and appropriately used for these services? How much money is being transferred is one question. The other is how much money from one fund to another and from one bank to another bank is being transferred. Because obviously folks in their communities don't know, and I would like to know. So in support of beautification projects, I'm all for it. If you come to Boyle Heights, you can see that we need many projects conducted for improvements. And so if Eric Garcetti would like to visit Boyle Heights and tap into our Clark's funds, you're
Mr.
welcome.
President, he does not appear to be talking about this item.
But I have every faith that Mr. Herman will get back on the topic.
So, City Attorney, to transfer any unspent and amount of money, of funds, who are we to ask and see the report of how much is spent? Because I'm sure not all of it is spent, and so these funds just can't stay stagnant somewhere, as we heard earlier, for it to be moved into another piggy bank or another fund that won't be used totally for what is being asked here. So on top of this motion, I'm against it. I'm against it because I want to know what funds is being allocated in the dollar amount. Thank you.
Mr. Hauser.
I would propose that these funds be marshaled and brought under city attorney, fine gentleman in front of me, combined with existing legal human resources that Lacers has available through Alan Manning, and we deploy the money in a much more short-term, high ROI into the legal assets that Lacers has that will generate $80 million for Lacers, that will then trickle in through some percentages for LA City.
Mr. President, he is not talking about this item.
And, well, we are talking about this monies right here. That's the Empowerment Fund, Fund 44B47, account 1039. I'm saying we can then, in 2 years or even a year, have 300% more money to put into this fine beautification project, as well as other resources, and we will uphold justice in the area with Lacers. Lacers is out $80 million, and they, with this funding, marshaling under the city attorney who will oversee it, plus other legal resources he will contribute, which are already at incremental. I'm an expert witness that has worked with the city attorney actually in a spyware case many years ago. The city won and generated incremental positive multi-hundred thousands. I forget who the city attorney was, but the question is, do we try to make money off the resources, or do we just...
Thank you, Mr. Hauser. Okay, Mr. Garcetti. In fact, yeah,
yes.
Go on.
Because I usually wouldn't talk, and I'll be very brief. The Clean and Connected Communities Initiative is right here. If you go to councildistrict13.com, everything that's spent, it's actually taking our street furniture money and letting our community members compete for beautification projects inside their own district. It's been transparent from the beginning. It is a way of taking our money and saying, we won't make those decisions, but we'll put it out there, and people compete. They actually vote on which projects are best throughout the community. And if anybody wants to find out more information, including the amounts and the competition for next year to improve your community, go to cd13.com/clean-and-connected-communities-grants. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so on this item, let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Okay, without objection on this item, we'll suspend the rules so that we can send it super forthwith. So with that said, I believe, Madam Clerk, that there's an item that needs to be reconsidered.
Yes, Mr. President. There's a request to reconsider item number 4 from Wednesday, June 27th meeting. That's Council File 11-0215-S1. It's a street lighting district item. There was a technical error that needed to be corrected. Council should first suspend the rules since that item went forthwith.
Okay, without objection, we will suspend the rules.
Council should now vote on reconsideration.
Open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Now we will vote on the item. Open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
And Mr. President, that was an ordinance, so that ordinance will be held over to July 24th.
Okay, now what else?
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Okay, they're posted and referred.
That clears the desk.
If I could have everyone in council chambers please rise for adjourning motions. We've already done announcements. All right. Mr. Alarcon.
Council members, I rise to adjourn in the memory of Alicia Carlota Rodriguez, who passed away at the age of 71 from emphysema on Tuesday, June 19th, 2012, surrounded by loved ones. She was born on November 22nd, 1940 in Moyagua, Zacatecas, Mexico. And in 1976, she migrated to the United States and immediately began her activism and love for a new country. In 1977, she received a certificate of recognition for her exemplary volunteerism at Limerick Avenue Elementary School in Canoga Park. Through her efforts, Limerick Elementary became the only school in the San Fernando Valley to assist students with integration and acculturation to their new country. During that time, Alicia also volunteered as a school nurse and established a closet of donated clothes that would be given to the neediest students. Alicia and her husband, Ricardo, owned and operated El Pollo Bionico, a family restaurant in Canoga Park, from 1979 to 1985. In 1979, Alicia founded the Mexican Cultural Institute which many of you have visited, and is now managed by the Mexican consulate in Los Angeles. And in 1999, she founded the program Mujer Nueva that would inspire Latinas to assimilate to their new North American society and improve their self-esteem. In 2007, I was proud to join Alicia at the grand opening of Academia del Éxito, a school where Alicia provided classes and seminars for women and their families, teaching them intergenerational unification, how to construct a better society, and how to improve their finances. In 2010, she published a book called Quiero Ser Rica en Dinero y Espiritualidad, a self-help book focused on women's financial and spiritual prosperity. Alicia also served on various boards, including the Granada Hills Community Hospital Foundation, Los Angeles Neighborhood Improvement of Sun Valley, the Lani Project, Mexican Arts and Heritage Council of the San Fernando Valley, CSUN, the Mexican Arts and Heritage Council of the San Fernando Valley at CSUN, and the Hispanic Business Network, and many, many more. Alicia was a friend of mine and my wife's, and was a tremendous advocate for the community. I don't think the words that I have read really exemplify who she is, because fundamentally she was a support to many, many people who were in need of encouragement and assistance. So she, for many immigrant communities, there are always certain individuals who not only immigrate to this country, but find themselves in a position to help many others who immigrate so that they can transition more effectively into our society. And Alicia Rodriguez in the San Fernando Valley was that person, so that, and especially for women. And so I had the pleasure of knowing her personally for over 20 years. She worked on so many projects and supported so many projects that I've worked on as an elected official. We are tremendously in gratitude for her contributions, and many, many others, I think, are living better lives because of her. She was a woman dedicated to her family, her business, her community. She always looked for a way for her family to be involved in her activities. She will truly be missed by her husband, Ricardo, her daughters, Margarita and Alicia, her grandchildren, Alejandra, Ariana, Diego, and Sofia. May she rest in peace.
Thank you. Other adjourning motions, Mr. Koretz.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to adjourn today in the memory of Rabbi David Kane, who passed away on June 23rd. Rabbi Kane was born in Poland in 1928 and moved to Los Angeles as a Holocaust survivor in 1949. Rabbi Kane was a well-known cantor and rabbi, having served this country as an army chaplain and having served the Jewish community of this area in many ways, including more than 30 years at Temple Beth Shalom. In 1952, David married the love of his life, Yetta, also a Holocaust survivor, whom he met at a refugee dance. David and Yetta proudly raised 3 children and helped shape 6 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren. Rabbi Kane survived concentration camps both at Auschwitz and Buchenwald, and by all accounts, his Holocaust experience taught him to make the most of his life. He loved singing, telling stories, and most of all, people. Rabbi Kane and his wife Yetta even shared their wisdom by writing a book largely for their children and grandchildren called How to Survive Anything. Rabbi Kane is survived by his wife Yetta, his 3 adult children, Barry, Jerry, and Bryna, 6 grandchildren, including my former staff member, Emily Kane, who many of you know, and 2 great-grandchildren. May he rest in peace.
All members on that, Mr. Koretz. Any more? Members, this meeting is adjourned.